Observer's Log. Ooh, the time has finally come. We are heading back to 2017. This month on From 60,000 Light Years, a Star Trek podcast. I'm one of your observers, Jay Clark, Jay Clark 787. Your other observer, my good friend over here, Eric Berry, better known as Trekkie B47.
Oh yeah.
Discovery. Woo! Um,
Okay. Star Trek Discovery has a pretty distinct division point. So this is going to be a little bit different of an episode for us because the two halves of the show are so like literally two different time periods.
yes.
This
Very well.
episode, we're taking a 60,000 light year view of the first two seasons of Star Trek Discovery. So that's how we're approaching this. And then we'll talk about the back half of Discovery because I think Jason and I both feel that these are almost two different shows.
We'd also be here for 8 hours, and we got kids, wives, families.
We've got kids.
We got
We have so much to talk about Discovery. This is a bigger conversation that needs to be split up into two episodes. That's how we're handling it.
And as we set this up, I'm going to be honest. There's a little fear in Discovery because there's so much packed into it for a variety of reasons. We're going to talk about that stuff.
Yes.
With that being said, we're going to be honest and
Yes.
fair. I'm part of the issues is this is all on me right here. As a black person, sometimes or black people, we sometimes feel we have to support things off jump just because of a current, just all that kind of stuff. It's all bubbling there, and that doesn't allow sometimes honesty. That fear of if I don't support it, it's not going to be there, which doesn't necessarily allow to be honest all the time. I'm going to find that hard balance here. That's just me. Like I'm going to be full and present here. I'm not going to cape for anything necessarily. If I like it, I like it. If I don't like it, I don't like it. And
Yeah.
I'm going to get into all those issues. I just wanted to put that out there because yes, there's a lot of things in this. So let's
And that's something I'm excited about because I want to hear your side of it. I want to hear your thoughts on it, your raw thoughts. And I think throughout our recordings, we've been really honest with our feelings about Star Trek. And I don't think that should change for Discovery.
No, well, I'm going to just want to let people know, just in case you ain't been here, this how it goes down. And if this is your first time, well, thank you. Welcome. Like, share, subscribe. What we do is, this is an episodic series. As you see by previous episodes, we're taking a look at all the Star Trek entries, each franchise entry, and then the movies themselves as a whole, and kind of looking at their overview. And not just an episodic rewatch. And once again, that's kind of why we're breaking Discovery into the two, because they are two separate. But before we actually get into the Trek, we got to talk about this time, because the benefit of the 90s era Trek was it was just back to back to back. It was no setup, no change. They all were the same thing. We are in a new era here. There is social media, the internet, like what Enterprise went off in 05 or 04.
05.
05. Facebook was just becoming a thing.
Yep.
Was no Twitter, no Instagram, no TikToks, no Apple Music wasn't a thing like that yet. Spotify, like Netflix was still DVD. If really doing DVD service, like Blockbuster was still a thing at this point on its last leg. And now 10 years later, practically, it's a different world. And
so they announced Discovery during the 50th anniversary of
the year before
of Star Trek, the year before. Keep in mind, that was also the year that Star Trek Beyond came out. So between Enterprise in 2005 and then September 24th, 2017, which is also an important date, which I'll get to personally. But that is 12 years of no television Star Trek, no televised Star Trek. We've had the three Kelvinverse movies, and now we are back. And Discovery was much like Voyager, launching a new streaming, a new network, essentially.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it. Putting it just strictly on the streaming platform and never like I remember the pilot airing on CBS,
CBS, yes.
but then it's just like so big change. Number one, it's not. Yep, we're watching Star Trek every Thursday on CBS on at 8 p.m. or whatever it may be. No, it's catch it on CBS All Access at the time, what we now know as Paramount Plus. Yeah, it would drop on such and such a day and watch it at your own leisure. Whew.
And that opens up a whole nother can of worms because now it's either stay up at 1 a.m. when they drop it, or avoid spoilers all day.
Yes.
Because now we're in the age of internet spoilers and social media.
What Scandal did to Twitter was both incredible to live through and experience and be a part of that. But then and now on the back end, but at this point, in the midst of we kind of tired of it, and it's just like it's what people expect now with these types of things. Yeah, it was Star Trek was not made for social media like that. I don't think in this it's the two don't mix very well sometimes with content because yes, it's a lot there. And then how they want to structure the show, like it was supposed to be a anthology series from Jump, which
I have always wanted. I talked about this on my other Star Trek podcast, Starfleet Escape Pod, for years. I was like, if they ever bring Star Trek back, it needs to be an anthology. And
I'm here for it, not against it.
And when there was rumors that this would be an anthology show, I was overjoyed because I'm like, you could have a courtroom drama or like Star Trek. You could do little arcs, but in different parts of the Federation.
Mm-hmm.
And we got Discovery. And we'll talk about that.
Okay. Well, because I mean, ideally, even though at the end of the day we got 5 seasons, I think ideally Brian Fuller had like 5 seasons planned or something like they had like 5 seasons, a 5-season anthology series set, and CBS was like, I
just want to know what happened to Brian Fuller because that whole thing was just messed up.
It's
messy.
This whole period is messy. This whole period is messy because you're stuck in feedback hell to an extent because you know what Trek is. And then, yes, you have social media. And then the monkey in the room. Yeah, it's 2017. This is the first year of that dude running the country.
Right.
And things of that nature are already tense. And here we go. We're bringing Star Trek back to TV with a black woman as the lead.
Yep.
Which makes all the sense in the world and kind of the way that Star Trek has done it. Because you think about it, just being blunt here, white guy, black guy, white woman, back to white guy, black woman. Okay, they kind of moved that way. Makes sense. Right. But just in this environment, that was a firecracker in the room.
And I mean, this is in the thick of Twitter and social media.
BLM, this is the midst of the late 2010s. Yes, it is, and Discovery's right in the midst of that.
And okay, here's a little bit of my history with Discovery.
Okay.
I was so excited as a fan because, oh my God, we're finally getting a Star Trek show back after 12 years. I was not thrilled to hear that it would be a prequel because I always feel that Star Trek should be moving forward. And eventually, Discovery did, and we'll get to that.
I had no choice.
Right. But for me, I was excited that we were getting televised Star Trek. I knew of Sonequa Martin Green from The Walking Dead. And I knew from watching that show, and I was a big fan of The Walking Dead. At that time, I was all current with Walking Dead. I kind of fell out of it, and, I watched seasons later. But I knew of her work on Walking Dead, and I knew of her character and her acting, and she was great. So when they announced her casting, I was like, oh, wow, this is really cool. When they announced Doug Jones, I've been a huge Doug Jones fan for decades. Like, all his work in the Guillermo del Toro films, like all of that. And to find out that he was playing an alien in full like
Something
this
new
is
too,
his,
yeah. Cool.
This is his wheelhouse. And then they announced Jason Isaacs, and I was like, whoa, we're getting some more A-list here. So I'm all excited for Discovery. And the premiere date is very special to me because September 24th, I married Teresa, my wife, in 2016.
So that's a good anniversary right there.
So this premiered literally on our first anniversary. We had an amazing first anniversary dinner, and then the joke is, I was like, yeah, but we got to get home because I got to watch new Star Trek. But it's also special because this was the first live Star Trek show that we are watching together. Because we had started going through like a little bit of like Enterprise and Deep Space Nine and this and that. But this would be the first time that Teresa and I would experience a live Star Trek show as it airs together.
So right there with you, because as we've talked before, like me and my wife, leading up to our engagement, we rewatched Deep Space Nine. So in between this period, we had rewatched Voyager, and of course we went to the movies. So of course, my wife being a black woman, she's excited for it because, hey, sure. And then kind of like you, it's like, yes, now we get to watch this and enjoy it together, real in live time. Like, for me, this is grown Trek. Like, all the previous Trek was kid Jason experiencing it. Now it's like, okay, I'm grown with the first watch. So I'm coming in this with grown eyes. How does this, sit with me now?
And I feel kind of the same way because when I watched Enterprise, that was me like in college and then slightly out of college. Yeah. So this is like, mid-20s Eric. But you're still a young adult figuring life out. This premiered, I'm 35. 35 when this comes out. It's a decade of now life experience, and now I'm married, and we always wanted kids, but
not there yet.
We weren't there yet. This was like enjoying our marriage, and so I feel the same way. Like Discovery, in your words, feels like my adult Star Trek.
Yeah,
I'll get this out of the way right now. For everyone who hates Discovery, Discovery was so divisive, and it was because of this Twitter time. Like, all of the negative feedback was like real time too. And and people were, because all Star Trek abbreviates. Like, we've got VOI, DS9, TNG, whatever. People started calling it STD, derogatory, when it's really DSC, just for disco, like disc.
Right.
But people were negatively calling it STD online. And it was just, this was like, obviously we're in Orange Faces era.
This is right in the midst of it. Like, it's all part of it. And then, of course, as you know, like especially because we work in this stuff, these things feed off of negative things. So those things only rise to the surface, and it's ugly. And
I will say just one more preface before we fully get into it. I've always enjoyed Disco up into a point. And that point is not what we're talking about today, because I really enjoyed the first 2 seasons of Discovery as they came out. There were some questionable decisions during those first 2 seasons that I didn't really agree with. But overall, even back then, I was a fan of Discovery.
I mean, I'm right there with you because throughout the first 2 seasons, even though it has its issues, there is that essence of hope, and that's literally kind of where season 2 ends on. Is this essence of hope? Like, okay, cool, we're going to take a moment, gather ourselves, and get this thing right. So Disco really doesn't get to me, and even as bad as the second half is, and I don't want to use the word necessarily bad. It's just not as enjoyable as a watch because time is running out. It's like, okay, you're showing me who you are. Okay, and this is just what it is.
I don't know if I want to save this small conversation for our next episode, but okay, there's 2 things I want to preface, and then we can dive deep into it.
Go ahead.
I will say I have rewatched, because in preparation for this episode, I watched all of the first season and like 3/4 of the second season, like fresh. So it's now it's literally fresh in my mind from over the past week. And I think, like what we talked about pre-show, this is maybe the second or third time I'm revisiting some of these episodes.
Yeah.
And I enjoy these first 2 seasons even more.
I'm right there with you because as I mentioned,
because it's like further away from that initial online BS discourse and everyone's screaming at you like you should hate it.
I always kept that stuff at arm's length anyway. I'll be honest.
I tried to, but
I'm like, okay. But it was interesting because now, like I said, I'm with you. Some of these episodes was the second or third time truly getting to watch it. And it was interesting because yes, I did not enjoy the first run through watching it live. It's like, okay, yep, Trekkie enjoyed it, may disagree with some things. It was what it was. But it was interesting now being able to pinpoint or see some things how they developed, some points where they could have made some turns, which we'll discuss. And I now have that kind of watch where, okay, yeah, this really was a different show. Because when we first talked about doing this, you were the one who came up with it. And I was kind of like, really? And then I was like, okay, fine, let's just do it. Because then, that's less episodes I got to watch. Cool. And then watching it was like, yeah, I really see it now. This was a completely different show than what it kind of eventually became. And part of the thing in breaking this up and trying to talk about it is going to be like, there are some things that it's just, we will talk about them. And I'm going to walk that duality of talking about it as a whole, but then also talking about it for what it is.
Yes.
And trying to find where that is because, that bounce back and forth going to be a little tricky. We're going to do what we do. So let's sit back
and
real quick.
Wait, what am I saying? My second caveat was, we talk about that back half, the seasons 3 through 5. Begin like either end of season 3 or first third of season 4 was the first time that I took a break from watching Star Trek new episodes live as they came out. And I have never done, I would just say, if you want to know where my thoughts are heading, and
okay.
Part of that is because life stuff, busy with life.
Real.
But also because I really didn't have the drive to watch them. And we'll get there. And that's the bigger discussion that we're going to have for the second part of Discovery. But I will say, overall, I really enjoy the first 2 seasons. And there's some things I don't enjoy, but overall, I think the first 2 seasons are pretty solid for the most part. Caveats. Little asterisks. Okay.
We shall talk about it. Here we go. first 2 seasons of Star Trek Discovery, a total of 29 episodes. As mentioned, the premiere did air on CBS. The rest of it you had to catch on CBS All Access. So, let's get into issue number 1. Here we go. The starring, I guess that's the way I put it, the cast, the starring cast for season 1 Star Trek Discovery, starring Sonequa Martin Green as Gabriel Burnham. We do have Doug Jones.
Michael Burnham.
Yeah, not Gabriel. Michael Burnham.
Yeah.
Doug Jones as Commander Saru. Anthony Rapp, he is playing Commander Stamets. Mary Wiseman is at this point Cadet Tilly, I do believe.
Yep.
Jason Isaacs as the captain.
Gabriel Lorca.
Gabriel Lorca. Would you like to go first, or should I?
By all means. I've talked a little bit.
Big overarching issue with this show. And I don't know whether it's influenced by the end of the show and what they tried to tell us it was about, or what actually happened, but that ain't the bridge crew right there. It's a bunch of, I don't want to call them randos on this ship, but it's low-key a bunch of rando people on this ship. And that's an issue for Star Trek. Especially in the condensed show that they had going here.
So, yeah. Because they made it a point in the first episode of season 2 to like actually identify everyone. It felt like Pike's like, who you got?
Wait to season 2 till we get. Ooh, I got it. Wait to season 2 till we get there.
But to your point, you're right, because Paul Stamets isn't the chief engineer.
Nope.
Dr. Culber isn't the chief medical officer.
Nope.
Burnham starts out
specialist.
Well, no, I mean, in the first 2 episodes, she starts out as a commander and then gets bumped down to specialist, fugitive, or like traitor.
Right.
Saru is now the first officer. And we got Lorca, who's the captain of Discovery. And you get hints of people's names, but you don't know you don't get to know or focus on the bridge crew. Like, we don't get to know Detmer. We don't get to know Owoshikun. We don't get to know Reese.
A bridge crew member doesn't step off the Star Trek bridge until season 2.
Yeah.
No quote-unquote bridge crew member gets off the bridge till like season 2. It's one of the biggest issues that I have with the show, because, again, it's one of the things I believe that makes a good Star Trek show is your cast and crew, and they've great cast here. These are great. It is not anything against the cast. It is against how they set the show up.
Because essentially, this is not Star Trek Discovery; it's Star Trek Michael Burnham.
Biggest issue with the show number 2. Yes. Call it what it is. Because that's what the show is.
And I think Michael Burnham is a fascinating character. She's literally Spock's sister. And that's a whole other thing, because where the fuck is Sybok? Which we'll get to. That's Sarek's first baby drama issue. But I think it's brilliant that they still worked within canon to, I'm going to say, look, even it was surprising that we found out that Burnham was Spock's sister. That was surprising to me. But
from that aspect, I'm with you. Okay, cool.
But I think how it gets around canon is because it's not like Spock was very forthcoming with his siblings, and we've known that since Star Trek V.
Yeah.
Like by Star Trek V, Spock and Kirk, you could argue, are like this.
Right, yeah, very much so.
And Kirk was still surprised that he had
you got a brother? What?
So, not very surprising to find out that he didn't tell anyone about, or not many people that he was close to, about his estranged adoptive sister. So I'm fine with all that. But my issue, I'm right there with you. Star Trek has always been about the bridge crew, and Discovery is about the discovery of Michael Burnham. That's what it is.
Yeah, because this, unfortunately, yes, the show has no plot outside of Michael Burnham. And again, I'm fully in support of it. Michael Burnham is a interesting character. I have no issues with it. You give me Star Trek Burnham, cool. You told me this is Star Trek Burnham, cool. You told me this was something else,
right?
And then you gave me this, and people had an issue with it. Some rightfully, I think, it's because that's not what you told me this was going to be. You told me this was going to be good old classic kind of Trek.
And also to that point, the pre-level hype, the pre-release hype for this was out the window. Huge. And you tie someone like Brian Fuller's name to this, who was an experienced Star Trek. He was on Voyager. He was a producer for Voyager, like a co-producer for Voyager. And just when his name was first attached, I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. Like, I know he's a Star Trek fan. And then by the premiere, you feel like you have the rug pulled out of you, because it's like, oh wait, he actually left the show over creative differences, and now we've got these whole other producers. And that was like red flag number one. Because I'm like, wait, if this is all concepts by Brian Fuller, and now he has differences with them, how is this going to be? So that was like flag number one.
I'll say it off jump. It's the worst premiere of Star Trek. It is the worst premiere out of Star Trek, because literally you don't know what the show is about. Besides, right. It's literally, you don't know what the show. You get out of this 2-episode premiere and all you know that this war has started and this character is being sentenced to jail for mutiny. I don't know what the ship is, because the Shenzhou was destroyed.
Right. Discovery doesn't appear. The namesake of the show doesn't appear until the 3rd episode. Like, what are we doing here? And yes, I totally agree with you looking back on it. And I think it was confusing for people because it felt like you pulled the rug out. Mm-hmm. Because we had to wait a full another week, because these first 2 episodes were like a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, aired on CBS primetime. I remember I was excited. Good times.
Oh yeah. And then we had to wait a week to find out what the show was really going to be about.
And even then, you still didn't know. It didn't really tell you. It didn't tell you.
Yeah.
And since we're at since it's at the beginning, we have to talk about it here. Issue number whatever we're on with the show is Burnham is right.
Yeah,
she's right. And then literally throughout the season, the rest of the season, she's getting chastised by
for
people
what we know
is right. By people who then literally go and do the same thing that she did, Paul Stamets, for example.
Right.
And those people get off scot-free. So, big issue with the show. Like, it didn't resonate strongly for me at the time, but I understand why people, like, because when it happened, I was just like, I understand why people had an issue with that moment. Because I was just like, you explicitly went out the way to show that this character is right. and then literally allowed her to get disrespected and literally like kind of
As a
dragged
black
across the
woman.
board.
As a black
Black
woman.
woman at that. Whereas now, to say it, fuck, if we listen to the black woman more often, we might be a little better off.
And literally, all they had to do was do the Vulcan hello. Hello, they are the Vulcans. They have more experience in these alien matters than humans do. There's a reason they held back humanity for 100 years, even though that's Enterprise and we don't all agree with it. But
We're past Enterprise. We're far enough that you should have enough relation with the Vulcans to be like, if they tell you, yeah, when these dudes roll up,
we need to fire first.
don't shake hands, nah.
Especially
that out blast first and be okay.
But I will say, they did their homework with the canon because they said, oh yeah, we haven't heard from the Klingons in 100 years. Enterprise. Like, that, if that was the last time that humans dealt with Enterprise, 100 years is enough for where Starfleet may have gone, I forgot how we deal with these guys. But you have the Vulcans who are now fully in Starfleet, fully in the Federation, 100 years out. And if you have a woman literally raised by
Vulcans
to the point where, like, I mean, she's cutting her hair like them, she's got logic like them, she knows their martial arts like them. I think Michael Burnham is cool from, it's kind of like Spock is always struggling with his human emotions. But Burnham is trying to become more human and unlearn her Vulcan upbringing to a point. And
yes.
And that's what fascinates me about Burnham, is that she is a human raised by Vulcans, and not just any Vulcan. Sarek, who already had a problem with his half-human child, so he wants to make a fully human child, which puts a lot of pressure on a kid. What the hell? But he wants to prove that it's possible to even take a full human, because they say in the show, she's the example that he wants to use to prove that Vulcan discipline can work outside of Vulcans.
I wasn't the biggest fan of the character and use of Sarek season 1. It screams, hey, Star Trek guy familiar with, here he is. But I will say season 2, that pays off in some beautiful moments. Like that Spock Burnham relationship I'm at the end, I'm like, oh, yes, great turn with it. I enjoy it.
And I suggest for people, if you've seen Discovery, but let's face it, it's been like 7 years. It's been 7 years since Discovery premiered, or 8 years. Do yourself a favor and rewatch these first 2 seasons back to back. Because even though I watched it as it aired, I felt like I was discovering, rediscovering, little things that I missed the first go around.
Well, let's put a pause here right quick and talk about this. The difference of, we are familiar with a lot of past Trek because it's been hours and days and time spent rewatching episodes over and over again. Not always by choice, but because that's what was there. You no longer had that with this. And
it's available whenever you want it on the cloud in streaming.
And that measure, we don't know what success is. Nobody knows what makes a good show successful. Like, nobody knows what's a good, like, all this stuff is kind of woohoo. We say what we want to say, but it's really about money. And it's a mess, which on a production side
it's
is
a
crazy.
Whole new era of television. Like, they don't tell ratings. They'll say, hey, this is like the #1 thing on our platform. Like, streaming ratings aren't a thing this early on because these companies are holding it back.
Yep.
Because they want subscribers and they want people to subscribe. It's all money driven. But I will say this to anyone who's like really hateful of Discovery. Without Discovery, we wouldn't have gone like this past 8 years of Star Trek.
Discovery,
for better or worse.
Discovery is as much like TOS as almost any series in the franchise, in that, yes, it is the one that has kicked off this Star
A
Trek
new era.
renaissance that we had, a new era, which, we're at the tail end of, but is still continuing to this day and will at least probably go on for about a decade. And so it will be an era of,
And a lot of people love Strange New Worlds and Captain Pike. We wouldn't have him
yep.
without season 2 of Discovery, which is arguably my favorite season of all of Discovery.
We will get there, and I'm not mad at you with that. I'm not mad with that. All right, final issue before, that is kind of overhanging that I got to get off the chest is, originally, yes, I was one of those who was like, I couldn't understand people who were like, why is it Prime? It shouldn't be Prime. And I was like, hey, it's Prime. It is what it is. I'm going to take it for what it is, and I see what they did. I'm not going to lie. I changed my mind on that on this rewatch. And I firmly believe Discovery should not have been Prime.
Oh,
because here's why. Because as you said, Star Trek needs to move forward,
right?
And they're doing a prequel. I'm with you. I'm like, why? And especially when we find out you're going, yeah, right here, not quite TOS time, but
we're like brushing on them.
We're getting a little close. Why are you boxing yourself in?
Right.
And also,
which is why it forced them to go fucking 900 years in the future.
Because it's like, why would you do that? Because I see it now. If you make the decision, because hey, we're coming off the success of the Kelvin timeline.
Yep.
Marvel Universe is in full effect at this point. It's full effect. Like, so concepts of multiverses, alternate timelines is nothing crazy. If you want to tell a story in a familiar era with some familiar characters and such, cool. I think a great way to do that would have been a separate timeline. And it doesn't have to be super, because it could just be a slight shift. It could be very similar to these be just characters you love, because I think what it does is, okay, cool, we can now tell a story going forward and do what Trek does best. Right. Tell sci-fi stories about today, messages, yada yada yada. It's fine that the technology can look updated, upgraded, because it fits where we are now. Yeah, it frees you to do whatever you want in this universe that you can build, because they're trying to build at the same time. So I firmly changed my mind, and I will point out several times that it's like you're spelling out a great concept for yourself. You just had to follow through, because there were several points I was like, yeah, do that. And you'd be fine if you're in your own timeline. But no, you literally constricted yourself. And I think it really hampered what you could, because the Trek itself that is presented to us, for the most part, is, as you say, it's good stuff. Like, you take these issues aside, it's just like, this is some good quality Trek. It's new. It's different. It fits a modern era. I still have some issues with it, but yes, push forward. I don't need what we had necessarily completely back in the day. But yeah.
So my biggest, I'm with you on this, because I have to accept that it's in the Prime timeline because they say it, and we have to live with that. And my nerd Star Trek brain can fit this all together, and it's just a visual, but it became such an issue for people. Like, X Astris, Sinisha or Cynthia, however you pronounce that website, they have categorized Disco as like its own universe. Like, even though the official stance is it's Prime canon.
Right.
Then you have things like Lower Decks last couple episodes where they flash reality the Disco Klingons.
Right.
And that just fuels the fire for fans, like, oh, it's right, Disco's not in the universe. And I hate that. I hate what it does to fandom.
Yeah.
And if Star Trek Discovery was set in the 25th century, we would have no issues.
True. Because they could have further out.
They could have told the same story in the 26th or 25th century, slightly ahead of what we know. You could say, oh, for whatever reason, we haven't heard from the Klingons in like 50 years. After the Dominion War, they kind of broke with us, and we don't know what's happening with them. Could have told the same story, but no, they wanted their Kirk and Spock tagline. They wanted the same thing that Enterprise did. Enterprise did 100 years before Kirk and Spock. And now they're doing, 10 years before Kirk and Spock. And it's like, God, why are we... And you're right, it was the biggest limiting factor for what they could and couldn't do. So much so that they had to find a way to remove this ship from canon and jump it 900 years in the future, where arguably Discovery does a lot of things better, because you can tell any story you want. They just told... okay, we'll save that for the second half.
No, literally, because... And what's crazy is I firmly remember, we all knew, because we're like, during season 2, we're like, hey, you've got some major problems here. What are you, like, we all knew
like,
they
what are
had
you doing?
To do something. Like, we all knew major change. Like, I remember one of the options being they've got to send it to the future somehow, because there's no way they can continue to exist. I remember those discussions.
Yes.
I remember those discussions.
And to the point in the show, you're making little hints at the beginning, like Pike's like, oh yeah, I hate all this holographic stuff. Like, I like view screens. And it's like, why are we even messing with this? Because holograms on the Defiant were like, whoa.
Again, if you do another universe, it's like it all makes sense. And then
not
skipping ahead a little bit, like as we see where they want to go with Strange New Worlds and stuff.
Sure.
We're all sitting here like, do I really want year one? Like, because you're running into same issues.
I don't.
Same issues. But if you put Discovery in its own universe and Strange New Worlds in said universe, you then open it up to new stories, familiar characters. From, you get the chance, like, okay, if you want to use Kirk and Spock and Uhura
and there's already a proven track record of this in the Kelvinverse.
Right.
Those are the same beloved characters, but a new take on them. And we all loved it. And it's already been proven on the movies and made them $1 billion or whatever.
Right. But no, you want to know, we're playing in the same sandbox.
We're Prime. And now, as a diehard Trekkie, I have to contextualize that in my mind and like puzzle box fit it. And that is a disservice to the storytelling in Discovery.
Certainly, because it overlaps things.
And in Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, it puts a box around this. It's kind of like, because at the end of the day, some of the stuff is kind of like, oh, I know that person can't die if we're Prime. Okay,
and there's no stakes.
Right, there's no stakes for some of this. Okay, let's jump back into the show.
Okay, sorry.
So I don't know. We are moving our way through. It's what we do. How do you feel about the design of this universe, the look of it, the feel of it? How what we get presented early on as we're moving into the show? How do you feel about the look and whatnot of Discovery?
At first, I thought it looked too advanced. But they also say that Discovery is an experimental science vessel with the latest technology. So I could move a little bit past that. But my biggest issue was they're like, okay, we're keeping things Prime, but now all the Klingons have techno-organic looking ships that fit no design that we know of the Klingons.
That design, like, that is some of the ugliest ship designs. I don't get them.
Originally, I was super excited for the production team because it had Neville Page and the other guy, and I knew them from Face Off. So when I heard, before the show aired, when I heard that they were doing props and costumes, I was like, oh snap, they got like really amazing people. And then the Klingon designs came out. I hate the Klingon designs, much like most of the internet did.
I'm actually out. The heads are a little big.
All they could have done, just shrink the heads. Yeah. Don't give them extra nostrils.
Yeah, because even though I know they did the the fix and giving them hair in season two, I was not mad at the design because to me, it kind of resembled what we had just seen as Into Darkness. It
Sure,
kind of gave me a
but
little bit of that kind of aspect, which to me, I was like, okay, for the
but that was
Klingons,
my
I'm not
biggest
mad at.
issue was like the heads
Yeah,
that are
yeah,
like, a foot longer than they need to be and
right,
the extra nostrils.
yeah.
Because if you're keeping it prime, then pull in that design a little bit. You don't have to go super crazy. And I loved everything else about the Klingons except their ships and their big long heads.
Yeah, right there with you. I'm
Otherwise, the props looked amazing. The
all the
costume designs,
Klingon
Gersha
language.
Phillips,
It's being
Gersha
spoken
Fi-
that much. Ooh.
yeah, Gersha Phillips was the costume designer for Discovery, and she was the best thing to ever happen to modern Trek because I think the Starfleet uniforms look freaking amazing because
Yeah.
I think it ties a nice blend from Enterprise with the blue jumpsuits.
It's not.
It
It's
gets
95%. You take off that collar, I'm with you. It's a good evolution.
the collar is
collar-
weird because they try to incorporate that design when Pike shows up before
Yeah.
they got the Strange New Worlds,
Yeah.
and it's not
terrible.
great.
The collar and the colors on the uniform because that blue and
copper-
gold looks good.
But then
Don't
it's
give me
like
no
the blue
copper,
and
no
silver and
Give-
the copper.
Or you could
yeah.
maybe give me a silver because you can't do blue on blue or whatever. But give me the red, give me the gold, give me the blue. It's hard to tell sometimes halfway looking at these uniforms who's in what division because you got bronze, you got copper, you got gold, you got silver, you got. It's just like I need to know who working where. What happened
and
there?
and I'm sorry, but the pips on the badges that's a no go for me.
Yeah, I can't tell
You
rank. I
can
need to see
barely
rank.
tell.
Yeah, I need to see the rank. Who is what?
They're
those
so
details.
small, and even in HD, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, but outside of that, it's a beautiful high tech show.
I like the design of the Discovery too. When they did the Ralph McQuarrie, like the kind of TMP, like Phase 2 Star Trek looking design, I thought it was like for the vessel type that Discovery is, and the Glenn, the Crossfield class. I thought it was just a nice enough departure from what we knew. And man, I will say the Discovery is one beautiful ship. In these HD shots, they did some, even in these first two seasons, there are some gorgeous shots of this ship.
She's got her
If you want
moments.
to talk about ship porn.
She's got her moments.
Yeah. But the Klingon ships and like the birds of prey, it was too much of a departure for this to be prime. But you're right. If this was the Kelvin universe or if this was its own thing,
Universe
would have had no issue.
16793. Who knows? Call it whatever. Just you're doing something different here. Cool. I'm on board.
Yep.
Take me where you want to go because they told a good story. Before we move off these ships real quick, I got it because the importance of every Star Trek show, the bridge of the ship, it's too damn big.
Way too big.
Ooh, damn big. Like
And I understand we've got very widescreen. It's filmed in widescreen. You want a nice shot of the bridge. That bridge has to be longer than it is. But even by like Enterprise E standards, this thing is massive of a bridge.
so big, so big. It's just I'm like, I appreciate the big view screens now. Cool.
Yeah.
Make the whole wall a view screen. But that bridge, yeah, you never really get a
It's like,
good sense of it.
hey, engineering, what do you got going on? I swear to God, that's what it feels like. You're just like, hey, what's going on over there?
Ooh, Spore Drive concept. What are your thoughts?
It's an amazing concept. I love the ability that it gives them to literally be the important reason why they're the central ship. Because it's a storytelling device. We don't have to go weeks to a location. We can be the on point ship for the Federation. And I think it's also amazing because it is taking real world science like micrology, like the study of fungus and bacteria, and Paul Stamets is named after one of these, micrologists, like a real world person. And so I appreciated that. To me, this is the most science fiction of Star Trek. Like, this is the concept. And even in the show, characters who learn about the spore drive are like, wow, like, this is crazy. Like, we're literally riding on on an interdimensional space mushrooms. Like, that's what it is. And I think the effect is cool. I think the dramatic, storytelling that they were able to produce from the concept of a spore drive is great. It being the only technology and a sought after technology, like the secret to the Klingon War and why the Klingons want it so bad. And so I think as a storytelling device and as a new technology, because it's not every day that we get new technology concepts in Star Trek. Warp drive,
Right, yeah.
maybe Voyager introduced us, like quantum slipstream and interspatial flexing and all that stuff. But the
How could you have a
drive,
spore drive? Kirk never heard of a spore drive. How could you have a spore?
and then that's the issue, because like you said, they had to write themselves in a corner. Literally, they basically told everyone on Enterprise to just shut the F up, and if you talk about it, it's all treason.
Right.
And that's why
For
we
whatever
never
reason.
hear about
For
it.
whatever reason.
Yeah.
I'm with you there. It's a great storytelling device. It creates an interesting show format, which they tried to fix in season 2 a little bit, because season 2
Yes.
you get back more to some of the traditional, oh yeah, we're gonna warp here, we're gonna fly here. You're kind of catching that story in motion versus
Right.
season 1, the story is definitely more so, hey, let's go here, do this. Let's go here, do this. Let's go here, do this. And it's a great plot device, but then it also kind of turns Discovery itself into a DS9 situation slightly, where a lot of the storytelling and action sometimes is going on the ship. They
Right.
stop the action for stuff on the ship, but it's not necessarily a space station, so you don't need to be so
Right.
stationary sometimes, and so it creates a little bit of a dilemma there. But for a as a concept to be like, hey, we're going to tell this story and we're going to use this plot device so that we can tell such a story. Yes, it works great. I don't think it's a great concept for a show that's strictly about, hey, we're going to strange new worlds and exploration and new places and stuff, because it doesn't quite fit into that same general idea. Although in a way they are doing this discovery of this concept a little bit.
And the discovery of the human condition of Michael Burnham. I will say though, as much as it feels like we're giving Discovery crap right now, I will say that I do like, as a whole, that this is the Star Trek that's most in its feelings for characters.
It gets rough sometimes.
It does get a little rough, but Star Trek being reflective of what it is today, mental health is a very big concern for today. Okay, you put your hands in here. I feel like there are great moments in Discovery where they voice that, hey, maybe people should be a little bit more open. Maybe you should be a little bit more open with your feelings. Maybe you should tell people exactly what you feel in that moment to avoid conflict. And
Not against that. Not against that. I am
Sure.
very much so with that message. My issue, and it does, and it has some beautiful moments where it does that,
yes,
or where it does what traditionally Star Trek does is it handles that within the action and within the story.
Yeah, yeah.
The story becomes the plot device to do that and to facilitate that, and they merge together beautifully traditionally.
yes,
Where Discovery
However-
gets that emo Discovery portion sometimes, and it's not from day one. Because in my
No.
mind, I was kind of like, okay, when is this going to pop up? When is emo disco going to get here? And it was like, oh, here's the start of it, and then it kind of gets a little bit more.
Where do you think is the start of it?
Stops the sir.
You're like,
let's see.
on time code number
made
40 minutes in this episode.
Is it? Did not kill cover. Okay, it's episode 10 where I made the note. This is the first episode that made me feel like, oh, here's the emotional, let's talk it all out version of Discovery. And what I mean where it gets bad in that is that it's not happening within the story sometimes. It's where hey Eric, we've got this pressing thing we need to get to, or we're in the midst of about to handle. But before we do that,
let's have a minute
me
to
and
talk.
you go have over into this side room and stop all the action. So I can be like, hey, buddy.
You good?
I'm just, let's talk about this, thing that might even have happened last week. But now here is this moment. Hey. Yeah, Captain needs us on the bridge. I know. The bomb about to explode. But is everything okay? And there are just some moments where it's like, my God, are we doing this
Sure.
now? And it's not the problem. Like Star Trek can do that. Fine. It's when they stop it all, because there are some beautiful moments where characters are doing that within the story. And it's like, yeah, yes, cool. But that stoppage, I was just like, oh, come on. So yes, episode 10 is where I identified, okay, that's of season 1. That's where
despite yourself when they're in the mirror universe.
Yeah, I forget who. It was Tyler and Burnham. Probably one of their interactions where it was like, because at some point I've noticed they're just doing too much at this point. But let's tell a little bit of this story. So we get into the show. Burnham's she's not a semi-fugitive because Captain Lorca takes her shuttle because he needs her on this new era science ship. Discovery is a science ship, and we get introduced to one of its science labs. But is it also engineering? But then it's also just a science lab. But then it's also engineering. But then we're going to make sure it's not engineering to turn it back into a science lab and make sure that we say that in the show. But then wait, nope, it's
engineering.
Engineering.
No, I completely agree with you. Even as the show I was airing, I'm like, is this the main engineer? What are we doing here? Because you see in the background, but is that like part of the warp? Yeah. Oh. Biggest gripe. The shots. I was so pissed off about this when it happened, not only in season 1, but in season 2. The magical view outside the turbo lift, and it's a grand chasm of open nothingness. And I'm like,
interior Discovery makes no damn sense. No,
and I hate it.
Sense at
and
all.
I hate it because you can see how thin the ship is. I'm like, where the fuck are we? What are we doing? This isn't a TARDIS, and I'm like, you guys need to rein in the BS a little bit, because there's a lot of things I can pass off for Discovery, but when you're showing magical space roller coasters in a void that's supposed to be inside the ship, you've completely taken this Trekkie out of the moment.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for those shots to exist at all.
Bad design right there. Bad design. But the story is good so far. So this first half of Discovery, season 1, deals with this Klingon Federation war. We're in it because they didn't listen to the sister. But now we're in it, and Discovery is the key to the possible war because they have this new experimental spore drive and they got to get it working. Lorca needs Burnham to do so. And so, he gets her onto the ship. Starts a little beef with Saru because they got some past issues or some beef and didn't feel support. Previous actions, whatever. There's tension, some great tension with Burnham. I like how they build it. But this first half of season 1, the Klingon War, and the work that they did in Discovery's role in that, some good storytelling.
It's great.
It's some good storytelling, and I liked Lorca as a captain. I was like, yeah, give me the edgy dude.
First off, Jason Isaacs, phenomenal actor. And like I said at the beginning of this, when I saw that he was cast, I'm like, oh man, we're in for a ride. And I'm glad Discovery did not disappoint on Lorca. Rewatching this whole first season, and knowing because I already
Yeah.
knew the whole story. So you could see the moments where they're like threading the
Little
little
hints. Yeah.
crumbs and hints. And you're like, man, because I remember watching, and when we got certain reveals, I remember Teresa and I being like, oh my God. Like, and that's why I love the first season so much. Was it because it was just like, oh my God, like all the kind of twists and turns that they were doing.
The best thing season 1 and season 2 does is they are telling a story. And they
It
don't tell you
feels
they
complete,
don't tell you the end goal. They're not like, hey, we're going to get to Z. Z is where we got to go, and let's get there. No,
which is the
both season
problem
one,
for
the back
season
half,
three for
yeah,
five, which we'll
both
dive deep into.
deep into both
But
season
you're
one
right.
build the story like, hey, and even knowing what they're where they're supposed to go and how this main story goes. Even I was like on the rewatch was, how do we get? I don't forget some of the twists and turns. How do we exactly get the? Oh, okay, and really did enjoy the story. Like this Klingon Federation War, even though it's not so, the episodes aren't about this. It's wartime, but it's not simply just battle, battle, battle. There's some
Right.
good trek going on with the tardigrade and figuring out the spore drive and rescuing colonies and stuff. And then I'm not gonna lie, the Klingon work that gets done in this show both seasons 1 and 2.
Oh my God.
Lil Rel as a character is better developed between these 2 seasons than any bridge crew on the show.
Yes. And that's why she became such a fan favorite when Discovery was airing. Like for conventions, for online fandom, I thought Mary Chieffo playing Laurel, that woman put in some work.
That's
And the
not
fact that most of the first season she's talking pure
Klingon.
Klingonese.
Ooh, that Klingon be hitting. Whew.
My God. And she did her homework. They did their homework in terms of using the Klingon language. The fact that every time, most times in this season, we're getting like subtitled Klingon. And they do the cool thing where they, even when
Show
they
the
like,
words and then reveal it. Yeah.
yeah. And then when they like switch back to English and then it was like Klingon text that faded away, I was like, so good. So she put in so much work. And the biggest twist of spoiler, I don't know why you're listening to this episode if you haven't watched Discovery. You're just weird at that point. But the reveal that Tyler was Voke.
Great story.
My God, oh my God. And to have him, like his journey was
Back and forth.
one of the best. And the irony that she fell in love with this Klingon, like there's so much, there's so much like pain and like stuff that they put people through in this show. But man, that drama is like some of the richest that we've seen in Star Trek. I thought it was good.
That entire arc of here she is as a semi nobody who is with this Klingon outsider who's got the vision for the future, who literally, as she puts it, gives up everything for the sake of his people. She picks up that chalice and carries it forward, and then through little political intrigue is in the right place at the right time to elevate herself to the head of the Klingon Empire and lead them forward to become its chancellor, to then birth a son with this half-breed mix who's trying to find his own way, who then becomes a time war. Like it's a beautiful arc, and the pain of them two being parents and figuring that oh
And then just the Tyler Burnham relationship too.
yeah, I could have done without that.
Well, that's what I was kind of getting at with the start of it. Like I mean, just Burnham's in love for the first time and Yeah, I really like Tyler and the reveal
Yeah.
that he was Voke and like the whole undercover and when they're in the mirror universe and he actually meets his mirror Voke and
Hmm.
it like starts unraveling him. Great, great stuff.
So yeah, so
I know we haven't got to the
look,
mirror universe part of it, but
we're almost there. We're almost there. So I like some of the development with the Klingon stuff, the whole cloaking technology, the different houses. We're doing with a real fractured empire here. So there's some great story within that. I think that
hmm
works within that. Which again, if you're doing your own thing here, I think it allows you to really be like, hey, we're these are Klingons. This is how this works. It's a different area. Do whatever, but they're trying to play within a box here. But yes, we get to the point that Discovery through, has got the spore drive worker and they figure out how to get past the Klingon cloak. They're going to take care of it. They destroy the bad guy, essentially, kind of in a way,
hmm
and then find themselves what is called Chapter 2, which is episode 10, getting into the Mirror Universe. But I'm looking at my notes here. While we were on Tyler and Rael, I will just say, episode 9, it's the first full titty we've seen in Star Trek. I
Okay,
think
wait. Okay, this season, I get it. We're on a streamer. Most of these episodes had the M rating, mature. We get like the first fuck in Star Trek,
Mhm.
like legit swear words, which initially I had kind of a problem with because I was like, not like, oh, my virgin ears, because I swear all the time, but almost like virgin ears for Star Trek. Like,
It doesn't fit. It
it
doesn't
doesn't
fit
fit.
within this form.
And here's the thing. I think it would have been more realistic to have people in Enterprise swear, but you couldn't do that
Right.
because it was a network show. But Discovery, you're 100 years removed from Enterprise and the start of the Federation. This is supposed to be a start of the more evolved humans. I mean, even in the movies, Kirk had trouble saying like double dumbass and all that
Right.
stuff.
That
Like
stood out.
it's not it didn't feel organic. So until he's like, "Oh, this is fucking cool," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" and then you're right. We get the flashbacks to the
The
you
love scene.
know
The Klingon love scene.
the Klingon love scene, and we do see Klingon titty. We see full prosthetic Klingon titty.
All right. So I have a curveball for you here. I told you there were several moments throughout this season that was like, "Hey, this is what Discovery should be." And it's kind of telling you, or at least like, hey, there's this concept. I have in my notes here Disco, based on, I think it's the conversation Stamets is having with Lorca, should be Star Trek's version of Sliders.
Oh man, yes.
That
When
great
they're
use of
like,
the
we can explore different dimensions. We can explore. There's a whole other universe of possibility beyond our own universe.
and then it makes sense to not just be going to the mirror universe because of what Lorca wants to do, but then it also further displays the capability of Discovery, which is never quite really mentioned again.
Because they get flown in the future and then it's
Right.
more concerned about
Out then.
rebuilding the Federation than
Star Trek's version of Sliders. And
my
then you
God.
could have played in a variety of ways.
which completely frees yourself from canon.
Freeze yourself up. So this was the first point that was like, hey, here's a road.
Here it is. This
Don't
is
box yourself in. You're good. You've done some stuff, but here's a turn you could make to set yourself free. Nope. So that's one. Man,
Okay,
right.
yep.
Episode 9 was the first thought that was like, yeah, there's a solution, but you didn't take it. And then this is also episode 9 is also where we have, I believe, the Stamets Culber kiss. I just said this one doesn't feel earned. It felt kind of forced because yes, this was another issue people had with Discovery was Star Trek for the first time had a openly gay couple on the show between two men, a romance between two main characters, both of them being men. Got no problem with it, but a lot of people apparently did. And I think part of the Disco was trying to, I think, in a way, make statements with it that weren't necessarily being said through the story.
Right.
And I think, like I said, this is a kiss that felt like, hey, we got him here.
But earlier in the season, when they're in the bathroom and
Very,
it's just
very
a peck
natural.
on the cheek, very natural.
Very natural fit. The
So
story
I
was
agree
like,
with you that the kiss did feel forced because of the situation.
yeah.
But here's the thing. I loved the casting of Wilson Cruz because I remember him from That So-Called Life back in the day, MTV. And you know, I I love how vocal he is on social media too. Like it's like no bullshit. It's like, and I just like for the representation for a queer gay male relationship, you couldn't have got two better actors for that.
I love the relationship makes sense. I love some of the stuff they do with it.
Yeah.
I think one of the problems is, as I said, it's not with the relationship. I think one, it's you're doing a lot early. Again,
Yes.
like I felt like they're kind of like, hey, here it is.
Live
Versus,
with
I
it.
think
Yeah.
as it didn't feel as natural within the show in some of the moments, as you brought
Sure.
up, one of the ones that did. But I love the relationship they did. They might. Why didn't they just make Cobra a counselor? But and for this, he's a doctor.
That
He's just a doctor on the ship.
that's
Um,
that's the second half.
yeah. Yeah. They have an interesting ride. I just think if it was a little more spaced out. But again, that's not the show's fault. If you had two
That's
seasons of
that's now
24
the
episodes,
nature of
right,
streaming
right,
and our
right.
condensed format.
There were some, especially like in season two, there are some moments where it's like this relationship has nothing to do with the story being told right now, outside of the fact that
Right.
these are two characters in this show on this ship. So I just think if you had more space for it to grow, but it was fine. But yeah, like it'd be nice. We might have to have a conversation with somebody or something. Again, like the representation is nice, but again, that doesn't mean as much to me as it might to somebody else because that's just not
Correct.
my experience in my life.
Right.
If this is your trek, and again, we're not here to change your minds or anything like that. If these were your characters, great. I'm glad you could find something in it. Slight side note on that, I think one of the issues of it only being able to be 15 episodes is it shortens that time, that ability
Correct.
for people to find, for lack of a
And
better word, themselves in it. Versus
yes.
when you had 24, 25 episodes a season, you could have those quirky one-offs, those weird ones, those ones that don't really matter. Like, yeah, even if it ain't a top 10 episode of all time or whatever, no, that's Data's Day. That's my episode. Love it. Gotta enjoy it. That's it just because you love that character moments. It's trying to do too much with all of its characters at all at the same time.
Plus, I think this is the nature of streaming and Discovery being the first streaming televised Star Trek is that because of these new shortened seasons, because 15, then 14, then 13, then 10, not great. Because you either have to do a fully arc based story
Mm-hmm.
and characters have to suffer. And the biggest tell of that is in the second season, first episode, when Pike, as the viewer, literally has to go, all right, sound off. I need to know all your names because we really didn't cover you guys in the first season. And it kind of plagues the rest of Discovery because these characters who you should have developed more in the first season are now
supposed to matter.
spouting random facts about themselves, not necessarily tied to the situation that they're in. And it feels very forced and not natural, which we'll get there more in the second season.
More on that coming. More
Yeah.
on that coming. So we're in the mirror universe. I have a note here that says all the prep they did to fit in. Cool stuff.
Very cool.
Cool stuff. And which again reinforces to me, imagine them doing this like once a season or like in different environments. Hey, for whatever reason, we got to be this week, or get ready. We're in a weird Western world. Like to me, that was cool. But again,
Right.
anywho, and again, yeah, season 10. Now they're in the Mirror Universe. It's now Emo Discovery, and yeah, I had forgotten they killed Culber, and that whole Lorca being stuck in the torture chamber. That was a disturbing ending.
Yes. And obviously, looking back on it, Culber didn't become alive again until the second season.
Yep.
And I remember at the time, people, rightfully so, were
Angry.
mad that this
Angry.
was the kill your gays trope.
Yep. Yep. Pushed a
And
lot
they
of
were
people off.
rightfully so. And it was just done for shock value. That's what it felt like at the time because we didn't know where the story would lead to.
Even knowing where the story goes, it's still kind of
It's
just
still
shock
not
value.
great.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not great. And although it does bring up some interesting issues about, essentially being resurrected, I mean, is Hugh Colbert Jesus? I don't know. But, no. But like the whole concept, which, Star Trek does a good job of, he's a human that has literally been resurrected. Like, what does that mean for the person being resurrected and all the people who know him
Yeah,
around him? But that wasn't the first season. First season, he gets his neck snapped. We barely see him again, except in weird mycelial flashbacks, and we don't know if these are Stamets hallucinations or what.
yep, yep. Especially because as one of the, I know, Anthony Rapp, did a lot of talking about during the show about and would focus on how the show would treat this relationship as any other relationship and explore it as any other relationship. And then bam, yep, Rapp,
And
here
then
you
it
go.
didn't.
10
Yeah.
episodes, 10 episodes, bam, gone. And as you said, they did a lot with it early, but with it only being 10 episodes. But let's continue on. We move along through the Mirror Universe. How'd you feel about them going to the Mirror Universe?
I thought I thought it was a very cool twist. And we're coming off of Enterprise. Enterprise obviously had In a Mirror Darkly,
Mm-hmm.
which ends with Sato being the Empress. And, Disco only being 100 years from that, that could imply that, maybe the next few emperors or empresses were of Asian descent, and that's how we got Georgiou, this and that. I love how they brought the Defiant in it. They brought in that canon, except the graphic of the Defiant had these weird bends in the nacelles for no reason
Yeah.
whatsoever. Which also led to this rumor and this feel that Discovery could only use like 90% or like
I
85%. It
think
had to
they
be
went back and fixed it because it looked to be more like
No, I did the rewatch.
it
It still
didn't.
got
Okay.
that dumb bend
Okay.
in the nacelles. It,
Okay.
it didn't look like. So I wish they went back and fixed it. But it's only on screen briefly, and you
Yeah.
could say that in the Mirror Universe they modified it a bit to make it look more whatever. But overall, I enjoyed the Mirror Universe arc because it was the longest we had been in the Mirror Universe, and it's also been the longest time since we had any Mirror Universe stories. So that reveal of Lorca being the Lorca from the Mirror Universe, and that's why all of his decisions have seemed questionable. Like, I think building all of that up to that was great, but it also,
You needed to use a reason to bring Michelle Yeoh back.
yes. And Philippa Georgiou is very complicated. And listeners, I have not watched Section 31. It has been 8 months or 7 months since it's premiered, And I have not watched it at all. This is the longest I've gone without watching something new of Star Trek. Well, no, that was Discovery season
if
4.
you want to call it that.
So, so we are saving this. The plan is, I'm giving you guys a little bit future peek. When we get to that point in this podcast, I will be live watching Star Trek Section 31 movie for the first time. It's going to be a commentary track.
It'll be a shit show.
It's going to be a shit show from what I've heard from Jason and from the greater I have been avoiding spoilers. And no one's talking about Section 31 anymore.
Nope.
Apparently it was shit. I'm going to see how shit it is with our listeners when I watch it for the first time. Everyone's going to see my pure, unbridled reaction. Teresa has not watched it. I have not watched it. I've heard terrible things about it, but I don't know the details, which sucks because I kind of liked Mirror Philippa Georgiou throughout Discovery.
Interesting character.
Because I like Michelle Yeoh for the most part. I love her.
Where they go in seasons 1 and 2 with her after you bring her back is an interesting.
And apparently they throw that all away.
Oh yeah. Don't worry about what you thought her character would be.
Okay.
But no, yeah.
So.
It was interesting seeing some of those like, wait, how do it was that like how did we get out there?
Yeah.
Anywho, it was interesting. It worked for the most part. Again, they did some interesting things, you know, and with the whole Georgiou Burnham relationship.
Yep.
You got Tyler meeting Volk, you know, on the Klingon planet. That was, you know, interesting bringing him back. You know, Mira Sarek with the beard. Got to have the Vulcan with the beard. It was a badass goatee, though. Badass.
It was. He looked good.
He looked good with it. You know, it was interesting seeing this side of the Mirror universe as you never really got to see the Defiant. That was a tease.
Right.
yeah. That just kind of.
We did see it in Enterprise, which was.
Right. Which is fine. It was
fine.
kind of like, okay, you brought it up.
And I didn't need to see an updated Defiant. I didn't need them to ruin canon more.
Interesting. We'll get there. You know, they make their way through the Mirror universe. I don't have the Killy stuff was funny. Mary Tillman as
Mary Wiseman.
Sorry, yes, I am messing that up. Mary Wiseman as Cadet / Ensign Tilly through season 1 and 2. Thoughts on the character?
I really liked her just as a person because I like that Star Trek is showing real people with different neurodivergencies and you know, it really shows that anyone can be in Starfleet, and if you apply yourself, you can really go places. And you know, as someone who knows autistic people, has autistic family members, is probably autistic himself, but you know, hasn't really got that officially diagnosed. I enjoyed Tilly's character because yes, she does have very funny moments that kind of break the tension, but also she really has real heart and emotion. And I think the friendship that her and Burnham develop is really the core of this show. And so that's why I'm kind of disappointed later on when she's not around as much. And I get it, it's because the actress and the this and that, whatever. But overall, I really like Tilly, and I know she's not everyone's cup of tea.
Solid character. She may have been a little annoying at first. It's kind of like, whoa, what is, but
Sure.
She turns out to be the best character in this new era of Trek in that ability to ride the serious when it's serious, but then also provide some natural comedy but not necessarily, it doesn't have to be like forced comedy. It's just who she is, bringing more representation to the screen.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed how intentionally it seemed early. You do get that relationship building between her and Michael.
Yes.
Great. The performance of, when she became Captain Killy, it's stand out. It's hilarious in that it works in the moment, but it's also hilarious as fuck when you're watching it, kind of. But it works on both ways. I don't like how they got away a little bit from the Burnham Tilly relationship in season 2. And then, her overall arc within the show, we'll discuss later, is disappointing. Her character in a way seems to be put in a place that doesn't quite match the journey it's been on.
Yes.
But I would be very interested in a real thorough journey for Tilly, like that experience of, you're the cadet, you're the ensign, you're learning, you want to be command, you want to be a captain. And so that experience of learning, I really enjoyed some of the earlier beats of that.
Yes.
And then that kind of gets lost, and then it's just all of a sudden like she gets fast tracked as a lot of the stuff issues in the show's back half. But yes, Tilly is one of the more interesting characters to me on the show.
Absolutely.
What did I have in my notes? Sorry. No, go ahead.
If we're talking about characters, especially within the first season, I grew to like Paul Stamets because I thought he was a complete asshole. I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing in Star Trek? But that's
it makes sense for the character.
But it makes sense for the character, and just this character journey through him throughout the series, I think is fascinating, and especially with him with Tilly and seeing their relationship grow because they were like this and she was more annoying to how it became. So I think his character is fascinating, and because I'm a huge Doug Jones fan, I think the character of Saru is great, but I think they dropped the ball with him early on because they tried, especially when we get to season 2, they try to make it like, oh, Saru, you're my brother, when very early on that was not the case, and throughout season 1. Yes. And that's one of my biggest issues in these first 2 seasons. When we get to the season 2 episode where we have to deal with Kaminar and the Baul and Saru's like transformation, and like Saru's asking Burnham to like cut off his ganglia, and there's like tears are flowing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where the hell did this come from? Like, you guys have always been butting heads because you had a competitive relationship under Georgiou, and Saru completely dismissed her when she was like specialist Burnham that evolution of that relationship to that second season episode, where the hell was that developed?
And it jumps out at you, especially having watched the show and what they tell you this relationship
because I've watched this in the past week and a half. I've watched the show.
Jumped out at you.
And I was like, it jumped out at me when I first watched the show, but it's even more magnified during a rewatch. You're like, where the hell did this relationship suddenly... Like, Burnham's like full on crying for him. Like, what?
Saru at some point is straight asshole. And...
like, savage asshole.
And you don't have enough background to understand why he would be that much of an asshole to her, even after what she's done. It is out of nowhere. And then, yes, it does not get enough attention to build to the point of where it is. I'm all right there with you.
But by the end of the show, Saru became one of my favorite characters in the show, in the series.
Saru on the rewatch stood out to me a lot as like, because I was never big as the show aired. People love Saru, and I was never like, oh, I love him, or
I've got like a Saru pop down there, but yeah,
cool character. Just okay. But really, towards the end of season 1, as we're making our way through the Mirror universe, and Lorca's gone, and Saru gets his chance to run the ship.
Saru is the captain.
Great.
And
great.
he is
I
awesome.
Loved it. Like, and it's not like, oh, it's just the way he ran the ship. I love the way he ran, the way he was the command program, the way he gave decisions, the way he interacted with the crew. It became apparent quick that this was
and
his
it sucks
crew.
that they kind of walk that back a little bit.
I know exactly when they put it in. I know exactly when they put it in because it's not there until they put it in. We were questioning, but they put that in the show for whatever reason at the end of season 2. Because throughout the show's run, there's no reason outside of it being Star Trek Michael Burnham that she should have ended up as captain of the USS Discovery. I'm sorry, and this is me being real. That's not being anti, as the character of the show and what the show shows you. Outside of it being Michael Burnham being the most important person in the universe, Saru was the captain of that ship.
That's why at the end of season 1, when they say, oh, we're going to Vulcan to get our new captain, I'm like, hasn't Saru proven himself to be the captain? That was my biggest hang-up as a character hang-up for season 1. And it's only because they wanted to make it Star Trek Michael Burnham, the show. She becomes the captain of Discovery at the end of the series. That's the only reason.
Not they wanted to make it. It had always been. The show had to revolve around Burnham, and it's one of his problems.
Because Saru proved himself in the mirror universe. He made them survive that. So when they finally, the war and it's all over, and he's been the captain since Lorca was off the ship, the back half of season 1, and then the end of season 1 for your big finale coda / tease, you're like, oh, and we're acting captain. By the way, I'm acting captain because we're on our way to Vulcan to get our new captain. Why aren't you just the captain?
Here's a note for you. Episode 13.
Whoosh!
We finally get the Discovery crew, and it works best without Burnham. I don't know exactly what scene that was, but it was during episode 13. We finally get the Discovery crew, and it works best without Burnham. So at this point, she's on the flagship for the Mirror Universe. Tyler's on there, Lorca's gone. Yeah. So this is really just Saru and the crew. And you get some good action right there.
That's a good band name, Saru and the Crew.
Saru and the Crew. Before we move on too far, I just want to say episode 12, I made the notes. Nice way of keeping kind of the Klingon tradition when Voq is finally dead. And the growling I was
like when he was mentally dead, like when she disconnected his psyche.
Good
that
stuff
was
right
awesome. When I did that rewatch, I think I forgot about that moment, and so when that happened and she's doing the raw, I was like, yeah, Klingon.
wait, that great taste. Because also with this show at this point now, truly even more so than they were in Enterprise. Easter eggs are a thing. How do we throw this in there? How do we fit this in there? How do we reference something? So when it works within story, it's great, but sometimes there are moments when it feels forced. Right. Let's see. Episode 14, I have the theme of emotions affecting your performance is loud here, so it must have been some old emo Discovery stuff. At some point, why is Burnham on the bridge? Because she has no role. She has no role here to an extent.
She's still specialist,
right? Why is she on the bridge? Because really her mission at the beginning was Lorca brings her on to help get the spore drive working. That was her mission. And then she gets asked to be on the crew and has no real role outside of just kind of some science. It's like what from Felon to now.
And the frustrating kind of part of that is, like, I know she was going to be accepted she wasn't going to be accepted in the Vulcan Science Academy. So she is a great accomplished scientist on her own, but they never officially made her the science officer. She was just always kind of at that station.
Nope. Until even you get later in season 2 and you really start to see some of the bridge crew in their roles, outside of seeing Detmer and Wilson come at their stations, you really don't know what anybody does because they just be passing it around. You know, nobody is clearly defined until later.
Sometimes Saru is doing science,
right.
but he's also first officer. It's like, what are we doing?
It's a jumble. Let's see. The lengths. Here's the note. The lengths you'll go to fix the problem from not listening to the black woman in the first place. And this must be the whole set, kind of Giorgio.
Well, Star Trek is relevant to current times.
Relevant today. We move to the finale for season 1. Great birth story. Fix number 2. Great birth story for section 31. And while they played with it,
yes,
Discovery could have been the thing that really does grow into section 31. I think like that could have been a route they take.
The third episode when she's on the Discovery and noticing the black badges. And even early on, we were kind of like, wait, does Discovery have a contingent of Section 31? They had it right there. And then they have to side all this other BS into it. Where did those black badges go?
It's a great, you're the only vessel with this technology. You've seen these things. You've been doing these things.
Hello, they made these badges.
Yeah. The
Why didn't you connect it better?
Like it's all right there. It's like this. You just do some tweaks and you turn this into Star Trek Section 31. And I think that then makes a great play on the Federation. Because one of the things Discovery likes to do is we are the Federation, and this is what it means.
We are Starfleet.
Federation. We are Starfleet, and this is what Starfleet does. And it's kind of like, okay, if you like Star Trek, you know that if that's your introduction to Star Trek, you don't have to beat me over the head with it. But I think for this era, a real play on section that the dark side and the lights, like that could have been something great and something new within the franchise.
But so obviously season 2 gets full on, section 31, obviously. But I never had a problem with it because in Enterprise they established, the very early beginnings of section 31. So in this Klingon tension, Cold War, real war, it makes sense why Starfleet and the Federation would rely more on Section 31 because this is one of the darkest points. Yeah. So I can see, because of the end of Season 2 and Season 2 as a whole, that's why Section 31 is allowed to fade into the distance. So by the time you get to Deep Space Nine, that's why Section 31 is kind of in whispers and we don't know. So I think the canon of it works. It kind of works. It kind of ties in oddly to Into Darkness, my least favorite of the Beyond movies of all time, because we saw that Section 31, even in this time frame, even though it's a different universe, was still a little bit more advanced. So I did not mind the technology that Section 31 displayed in Discovery. I thought it worked. I just wish they connected more of the black badge stuff that they showed literally in the third episode of Discovery. I wish they connected that through line better. And this whole time, we've talked that Discovery has had great through lines. It's had great moments of seeding stuff. I think they dropped the ball seeding Section 31 more. Because Leland was first introduced on a extra deleted scene, post-credit scene for the end of Season 1 that you could only see on the Blu-ray. Like, you had to wait till the Blu-ray or the short trek or whatever the hell.
By the end of Season 1, it becomes clear. You start to see the anthology remnants. Is that Disco is really a great shell for, hey, this is the story we're going to tell, and this is the story we're going to tell. But unfortunately, we haven't come into this with the long-term plan of the story we're going to tell. Mm-hmm. So we're going to tell this story, which is a good story. But then after telling that story, all right, where do we go next? Okay, here's the story. Let's tell this story. We got to do this, though, because we got these problems. All right, then, cool. Where do we go next? And it's that through of the overarching thing, which we'll get more into back on the second half. And so, yeah, it starts to become clear here that's like, okay, even within this great story, you don't know what the long-term plan is. Because, yeah, over and over again, this should have become Star Trek Section 31.
Yep.
It opens the door so much room to play and could have been done even in universe if you wanted to be Prime. I think that could have still worked.
And then
within
it
universe.
could have still worked because
Yep.
Discovery was still, even when Discovery, the Crossfield class, it was already an experimental ship that no one didn't know about, and you had Section 31 representation. Then just make Discovery a Section 31 ship and make this the Section 31 show.
Yep.
Then you don't have to have everyone telling about, and you don't have to jump it 900 years in the future just to avoid canon. You can just make it them doing Starfleet's dirty work. And
yep. On the low, and finding out that balance. And yes, we are Starfleet, but we got to get the job done. And where does that work? Where's that pull? Where does that?
And now Michael has to that could have been a what if. That could have been
fired. Yeah, all throughout there. Let's see. Emo Disco stopping the action. Oh, when she says I was wrong, I hate that turn for the episode. I hate that. That's terrible.
Which one?
Michael Burnham, when she admits I was wrong about her actions at the binary. I'm like, no.
You just undid the whole. You weren't wrong.
You weren't wrong. You were right. That's the problem.
Everyone else was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the phrases, imagining a different side to some familiar stories, again, different universe. Why did Michael's strength have to save this white man? I forget who that is. Again, it's just some of these things that pop up. Why are we in Paris on Earth? Oh, gee, this ending.
No, they were in Paris on Earth because that's the capital of the Federation.
Starfleet is always in San Francisco, but okay, that's fine.
No, it wasn't Starfleet. But remember, the president of the Federation
is in Paris.
Is in Paris.
Okay, I can erase that one.
Yeah,
that's one gripe. But yeah, the ending of that show, the medals, is everything wrong with Discovery? Because again,
because they only named the characters we were introduced to, and everyone's up there, and we don't know their full names.
And it's their first time off the bridge.
Yep, and we don't know their full names until literally the opening of season 2.
Everything that is wrong with the show. Yeah, the main characters get named, but everybody's like they don't exist. And then we get the Enterprise as it is flying off to get its new. The Discovery is flying off to get its new captain. Run into with the Enterprise. She's nice, but unnecessary. What do you think about the Constitution class redesign in the Prime universe?
I hate it. I hate it. I thought the moment was cool when they were like, oh, we're getting a coded transmission, and you see the 170, and then I'm like losing my mind.
Yeah, it's a nice build up, yeah. And
I saw the ship, and I'm like, it's a cool moment, but what? Why? It's not much of a departure, but it was just enough of the departure to feed that rumor where like, oh, they can't use canon designs because that's like the whole Kurtzman universe or whatever. And I'm like, fuck. Like, I hate it. I didn't like it. I think I like it. I like it in Strange New Worlds because obviously it's a gorgeous ship. But when I first saw it, I'm like, did we need to angle back the nacelle? Couldn't have just been the straightness. Did we have to completely redesign it? All they could have done is just make a few slight tweaks to bring it a little bit more in line. Because then you have to be like, okay, so yes, this was the greatest and latest, and then it got refit for Kirk's mission, and then it what are we doing?
Problems. Big problems that you created for yourself that you didn't need to create for yourself. With that said, though, it's a beautiful ship. I'm not gonna lie.
For what it is a beautiful ship, and I like it because I saw it in Strange New Worlds, and I still have to finish my rewatch of the back half of season 2, like those last 5 episodes, because I know it's comes back in a big way in the 2-part finale.
It does, but not overshadowing.
Right, which I like.
To me, it was a good mixture of what the original was and some movie era-esque elements, because I love that Constitution class refit. So I thought it was a good merger. Again, the issue is this is supposed to be the Enterprise, not just a Enterprise,
Pike's
the Enterprise. you created problems. So that ends season 1 done, 15 episodes, which I think if this is in this new era, that's a good amount. If I'm not gonna get my 2024,
15 is good.
15 was good. I feel like you got a good third part story. You got a good beginning, middle, and then you got a good way to wrap it up and end. You got some good episodes that it didn't all feel like, hey, A has to lead to B, has to lead to C, has to lead to D, and we're on this chase.
And even season 2 with just one episode less still knocked it out of the park.
Something about that mid-teens is a good set of time, I think, to tell the story.
But then we have Picard and Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds, and everything is like 11 or 10. And that is too short to get to know characters.
Yeah, no, for sure. Which we will discuss in some of them shows as we get into. So season 1 is done. We get into season 2. Picks up right where we left off. Enterprise and Discovery kind of rewinds a couple minutes, but catches up with current day action, and we get Pike right into things with that ugly ass TOS style uniform in the Discovery universe.
In the Discovery trim, because you can see the base of the uniform because that's what they were working with, and it's got that stupid offhand collar.
Makes no sense. Why are you wearing that here? If it's the new uniform,
but you were
why
out
is everybody
in the war
with these
right
forward, and you were gone from the war? You're just kind of getting again questions. And the biggest issue with the start of season 2 is it literally becomes, because everybody's like, wait, this wasn't my Trek. This isn't Star Trek. All the issues. So then they literally, for like the first couple episodes, it's like, hey, see, we changed this.
We're doing it.
We're doing it now. Oh, your Klingons need hair. Forget them Klingon ships. We brought back the D7. See, Enterprise, Pike. We're Star Trek. These things are in here. Here's the crew. Here's who's on comms. Here's who's on. It's so like, hey, see, we did it.
So season 1 ran from September 2017 to November 2017 of the first part. Then we had
the break,
a 2-month break, and it ran straight through January and February, and then it was done.
Yep.
Season 2 premiered a whole year later. Not bad, but they didn't break up the season. It was continuous from January to April. Probably the best 4 months of my life, because I was like, all right, new Star Trek every week. It's great.
Good time. No, early 2019. Yeah, good times. Good times. Life was...
So season 1 was the only time where they did a distinct break.
Halfway point, yeah.
Halfway point. Season 4, and we're not there yet, but they had like that kind of January break or whatever.
Yeah.
And season 5 ran straight through. So season 1, I like how they broke up season 1 because there was a distinct this is a good point to.
Oh yeah, when they go into the mirror universe, it's like, okay, yep, that, because it even says it's like, yep, that's chapter 1 and that's chapter 2.
Yes,
it works.
So I like that season 2 was straight through because it was a straight through story. You know what I mean?
Season 2 is outside of the issues.
Outside of the issues,
some good Trek. Like it
was so good. And Anson Mount as Christopher Pike was so good that this season was essentially a pilot for Strange New Worlds. And we only got Strange New Worlds because the fan demand, because of this season, was so strong. They're like, oh snap, we need to spin off the show and make Pike's 5-year mission.
There was a lot of potential in Trek. This was a good time.
And we got that because of Discovery. For as much hate online that Star Trek Discovery got, and as much praise as Strange New Worlds got, For all the people saying that Strange New Worlds was the better show, we would not have had it without Star Trek Discovery Season 2 and Anson Mount's performance. Anson Mount, my God, what a powerhouse. I liked him from the beginning. This opener was so great in just introducing him, his character, and I think that's fell off a bit for Strange New Worlds, but we'll get there.
We'll get there. It's a couple different Pikes. First notes is, we're back. Don't forget this is the Michael Burnham show. But hey, there's Spock.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but hey, there's Spock. I mean, yeah, this is a great time in Trek. Like,
and I love Ethan Pike. I love Ethan Pike as Spock.
Good performance. This is a different Spock. Picard season 1 is already aired by this point too, because you had season 1 Discovery,
right?
You had season and then I think at this point we're aware of the things that are about to start coming. So it is a time of we are fully within the Trek Renaissance now, and still a little shaky, but we are on the go. Major change for a major character. 15 episodes into the show. I wonder who that was about. Oh, I think that was maybe about Stamets trying to leave. Here's the comment. It's the engine room only when it needs to be. Issues with Discovery. Once again, Stamets was going. Stamets is low key a wasted character to an extent. Is and not, because he's literally trying to leave throughout the entire show, all 5 seasons. He does not want to be there.
That's true. That is
true.
True.
Season 1, he's just there because we got. I want to see the spore drive, and literally after they get the spore drive working, he's already like, okay, yeah, I did my thing. I'm ready to go. End of season 1, start of season 2, he's ready to go to Vulcan. He only sticks with the crew because they get stopped before getting to the captain, and they need him for the spore drive. I forget exactly what the reasons are, but in seasons 3, 4, 5, but like literally, there's always a reason he don't want to be there. And he's got some interesting moments that really could have made for some character development. But it's just like, I don't want to be here. But you gotta put these things into my arms so we can use the plot device of this ship, because we never found a good reason you not to need me.
Yeah.
Or this is the only reason I'm really here, is so I can make this ship go woo and blast off. Yeah. You keep mentioning what Pike did. Roll call, Pike, because just like you, we don't know these people either.
But again, because Tilly is such an awesome character, I love like her trying to validate him, and like the whole thing about the pinky, and it shows his humor a bit, like when he spooks her, and everyone's kind of like, "Whoa, funny, Captain, what's this about?" But I love that. I like that he says, "Look, Lorca did you guys dirty. I'm not Lorca. Let's be clear." And it lions up everyone, because it lets them be more themselves instead of, oh, I have to fear this captain who's gonna beat me with a tire rod.
There's new energy to the show that fits. It's a new show. It's a new show, but it doesn't not feel like a. It still feels like the old show, and it gives you that. This is where some of that anthology-ness comes into it. Like, okay, yeah, this new character who's leading, this is what it brings, and this is the new energy we got going forward.
And he still keeps Saru as first officer, but it's not even first officer. Pike says it's a co-captaincy.
Bad idea. Bad.
I know it's a bad idea.
Run, bad idea.
Long run, bad idea. But I like that Pike knew his place and knew that this was only a temporary assignment for him, but he wanted to leave these people off better than they were. Yeah. And that just gives me so much more respect for Pike as a character.
We get some repercussions for Stamets in episode 2 because of his genetic engineering, although we never really see that happening because, again, things happen. So, again, somebody does something they shouldn't, who's not named Michael Burnham, and gets off scot-free. You definitely get the feelings they are trying to retcon and change some things from season 1. Yeah. I believe this is the episode they go down to New Eden or New Elysium, whatever it's called, because this is the first time a bridge...
Terra Elysium.
Because this is the first time a bridge crew member gets off the bridge for a specific reason, and then you never see that reason on the screen. Owosicum is added to the team. It's like, oh, she was
raised in a Luddite community and doesn't get to use any of that.
And it's just like, okay. Okay, welcome to Star Trek Burnham. Love the combo between Burnham and Pike. It's engineering again, apparently.
Yep.
And damn, Pike made that uniform look good in the shadows. Oh, sorry, the
Yeah.
way that white hair, that white skin, that dark navy blue of the uniform, and then the gold piping, and then yes, the shadow. I was just like, that's a good looking man right there. Whoo! It's just
Now, before this, I only knew of Anson Mount from the terrible, like, Inhumans Marvel show, and then the one that he's most famous for, because my dad watched that show, the Western that he was in that really made a name for himself.
Damn, I can't think of it.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yes. Yeah.
But so I knew of him, and then when Discovery season 2 came out, then I got into his podcast. I'm like, oh man, this guy's like a cool dude. Like he's just a cool dude. And I was happy when the success of Discovery season 2 led to the spinoff.
Right.
But and we'll get to it, but Strange New World, it's two different Pikes.
It's two different Pikes.
Because watching Strange New Worlds, like as season 3 is airing now, and then going back and watching this second season, I'm like, even to the point where his hair has become a joke.
The hair isn't the same. The hair ain't the same. And
his hair has become a joke. They just make it bigger every season. Yeah. I'm like, what are we doing, guys? Because he was just fine in Discovery season 2.
It was a great throughout the season. Just great moments of command, contemplation. You know, moments of I know what to do. Here's what we're going to do. Hey, what do you think is best? Hey, watch your tone.
Yep.
Okay, give it to me. Like it was all the
exactly
well-rounded.
It was exactly. He was exactly the type of captain that, because we got a tease of it in season 1 when Saru was like, name the best captains, and Pike comes up.
Yeah.
I love the Archer too. I love when they showed Archer.
It's a great little one of those great little Easter eggs. Like, well, yeah, there's only would be 5. Like, yeah, it's great. Yeah. It's great. Right.
And so to see that in action in season 2 makes season 2 so great, because you know why Cornwell calls him the best of the best. Mm-hmm. You know now why Enterprise was sent to the sidelines to do their 5-year mission.
Right.
To stay behind and get out of the Klingon War. Because, as Cornwell says, they are literally Starfleet's best.
And it went bad because things got bad, yeah. That war got bad, so yeah.
And it got bad, and they were the best of the best. And that's why the Enterprise is the flagship, and that's why Pike... This season proves why Kirk had such big shoes to fill from Pike's tenure, because we got hints of that in the Kelvinverse movies. Mm-hmm. You see, they start to dive a little bit more into Pike. This is like, for me, season 2 of Discovery, that Pike is like the epitome of Pike for me. That he is grade A plus Starfleet captain.
I'm not mad at you right there. I am with you. Like, he was the right.
Yeah, I would follow that man into death.
Sure would. Give me the command, sir.
Yeah,
give me the command. Like,
I will salute him, and I just love, even when Tilly screws up and puts his whole file on display. He's like, "Look, I got an F in astrophysics. I'm not good at everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to be truthful with you from the get-go. I'm not Lorca. Screw that guy. I'm your captain now." And the way he immediately commands respect, you can only do that with an actor like Anson Mount. And that's why I get a little bit more disappointed the longer Strange New Worlds goes on.
Ooh, Strange New Worlds is going to be interesting once we get to it.
Yeah, we'll get
around season episode 3, you start to get the whole that parasite thing, and what I really enjoyed, what really stood out to me was they were doing now is like the way the feelings Deep Space Nine gave me. You're able to put things into play, put them down, and then pick them up later. Maybe it's a little more condensed, but even now, it's little things here and there. It's only done so that you can get inside the mycelial network and get Stamets back, but I still like how it's incorporated. It's not bad. It works within the show. The Klingon stuff, Lil Rel has more character development than any of the bridge crew at this point.
Yeah.
It feels a little forced, a little bit like, hey, we got the Klingons and they're back with hair, but that's at this point it gets a little tiring, but overarching, still some good stuff.
I love the developments with Tyler, how he is more into Section 31 and kind of playing this dual role. I like where they took his character.
Yeah.
Because, people are distrustful of him. What about that Arium turn, though? It would have made more emotional impact if we cared and if we even knew anything about her.
It's
literally the episode she dies, we find out who she is, which is terrible.
The same thing I said about that early Stamets and Culber kiss. This isn't earned. I don't know who this character is, as we're maybe 20 episodes in at this point. So much so that they change actresses. Yeah, she's not the same person
from season 1 and 2 under the prosthetic. It's not great.
It's supposed to be an emotional turn. It's just like, you haven't earned this. I don't feel anything because
it's an emotional turn, and literally 25 minutes ago at the start of the episode, we start to find out about her character.
We see some grip bridge,
and then we've got like Burnham crying,
emo disco
full
effect.
This is the epitome of emo disco, is the death of Arium, because we're supposed to care as an audience, but literally we're seeing the show shows her going through her memories as like a quick, hey, she's actually been on the ship the whole time and interacting with everyone, and you're supposed to care, and I don't.
It's only the second time a bridge crew person gets off the bridge for an away mission, and she doesn't make it back.
Yep.
And it's a major turning point of the show. It's unearned, which is a lot of this stuff. You got, this whole thing, which the plot of this story becoming rogue AI.
Which sucks, because then Picard did the same thing in season 2.
Star Trek issues that we will discuss during other shows.
Sure, but
that we get a taste of towards the end of this one.
Yes,
a lot of they just did that over here. But no, again, there's a lot of things that start to pop up. It's like, who's in the room writing this stuff? Y'all just like, copy paste.
But also it just shows that even though there's multiple like producers running different shows, they're not talking to each other as much. And it only becomes apparent in like some of the interviews when they're like, oh, hey, we want to use Wesley Crusher. Oh, hey, we also want to use Wesley Crusher's character. And that's a bigger conversation. But it starts the show here with this rogue AI story. And I get it. Like, Star Trek does continue to be on the forefront of current event issues. And AI is certainly an issue of the day. And you could say they were ahead of the curve by talking about it in 2019, and now it's here, and it's looking more scary every day.
It's looking more scary every day. At some point, I said Michelle O, because something Giorgio did. I was like, oh, Michelle O.
She's just a badass, and anytime they get to showcase her doing martial arts, I loved, in season 2, I loved when Burnham is trying to get Spock off the Section 31 ship, and Giorgio's like, I've disabled the cameras, let's just fight. And Burnham doesn't hesitate. She releases, like, she sucker punches Giorgio before Giorgio's even ready. And they like were actually fighting. Like, Giorgio's like, oh, she's not only making it look good, like, this is a real fight. And I love that. I love that, like, little scene.
The fights jump off a little bit like it's Michelle Yeoh. You don't do this.
You don't waste that talent.
You don't have Michelle Yeoh and not do this. except for the last one with Leland. It's a little long. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, but outside of that, no, they're great moments. Then we, of course, we get the whole, Saru and his evolution. We get that moment where this is the moment where literally they force the Saru Burnham thing on us in a little bit, and it's just like, you didn't earn this.
Nope.
Shirtless Saru, though,
I'm here for it.
kind of buff. Like, I was confused because in that uniform, slim and skinny as a mug, and then all of a sudden when he had the
We
shirt,
got like shoulders,
I was like,
pointed
whoa,
shoulders.
wait, that doesn't match up. Like
Right.
doesn't feel like that should go in the uniform. I asked, should they have just killed Saru? I don't, do
And
just
then,
kill him, but it wouldn't have made sense. But yeah, it was just a question.
and then here's another thing, and related to that episode, they essentially force evolution the Kelpians. And how is that not against the General Order 1 that...
Bring up a lot in this first half of season 2. Like, it's mentioned every episode, I feel like.
So, but they go ahead and do it anyway because the red light told them to. It's...
Questions. This is the episode that made me scream, positions matter on Trek, and Disco did a terrible job with avoiding the actual characters who had them. This is just, Young and the Restless on Star Trek Discovery. 3 good stories that didn't necessarily need to be connected. I think that's sometimes the issue that Disco had was with the main story and the side stuff had nothing to do with one another. I like this Pike a lot. Yeah, this was good Pike. Good command.
Oh my God, the
Pike.
episode 23, if memory serves, that deals with Talos and Vina and the Telosians. I was not mad at how they reimagined all that, but the biggest disconnect that we've been talking about was literally they're showing the old clips of the original episode,
Before, yeah.
which takes place a couple of years before this episode, and then they like transition into modern,
and it's just like,
and it's like you just put a magnifying glass on how this disconnect visually is a problem.
Yeah, issues. Like,
they could have done that all in a voiceover, or they could have filmed a reimagined in your current. They could have had Spock in a version of that jacket. They could have filmed those same parts in
recreate it real quick.
But
no,
no,
work to make it. Just
they're like,
you got the bridge. It's all there. Just
because when I was rewatching this, I forgot that they did that. So when it happened, I literally thought Paramount Plus effed up and was starting to show me a TOS episode, because they even do the 4:3 frame, and then it like it widens out.
And I'm not
which I thought was cool at the time, but it shows the disconnect visually that everyone has a problem with.
And it's a moment I'm not quite sure how I feel about, because it's great. It's great use for the story and how it moves things ahead.
Right.
But it's also very much a, hey,
see? We remember.
And so I don't quite know how to feel about that, because it works really well, but it also screams, I see what we did there. And I don't know if I like that part of it where it's just like, at least a sour taste in my mouth. But it is still some good stuff. It's all good. We get more scenes of the issues with Discovery and how they stop the action to deal with the emotions. Really gets annoying. Why is Burnham so sure Tyler is innocent at some point? She hasn't seen him forever. She's got issues with him, but she knows he's innocent. Makes no sense. Oh, with the whole Arium episode, how cool would it be to be able to watch your memories? I was like, how cool would it be just to be able to be like, all right, boom, let me watch my own memory of such and such.
And then delete stuff like I don't need to remember my breakfast this morning, or like I don't need to remember the 4 hours I drove through Iowa or something. You know what I mean? Like, you can get rid of the mindless stuff and just keep the best of parts. Absolutely, that'd be amazing.
That'd be so cool. I had to so a Star Trek question here, because they get creative on the minefield to the control
Yes.
place, and they start calling out evasive maneuvers. What? Where are these like things you have to actually input, or is it like, oh, okay,
I
Command
think
F,
it's
Shift F, and that's maneuver? Like, are these just when you actually call out the move? When I'm
both,
entering
neither.
it's just,
I don't know.
I
Because when they're calling it out, they're looking at Detmer and she's
right.
like fiddling some stuff. I don't know if these are moves that you know or you're just programming a computer or what.
Like if you go out, yeah.
And is like Omega 1 like slightly shifting to the left? Like what are we I dislike that whole scene.
I just had questions. I'm like, if they're programmed in, that's cool. And I'm just like, oh, Riker 47, cool. Riker 47, boom. And the ship does it, cool. Or, if there's some big database that keeps getting updated, like, hey, here's your brand new command maneuvers for the month. Check them out.
Yeah.
It's like,
we got Janeway Pi Alpha 2. Like, whoa. And why is it named after the captain? Shouldn't it be named after the helmsman? Shouldn't it be like Paris Omega 5 or something?
That's actually
because the helmsman, shouldn't it be like Ortegas Beta 2?
I'm Ortegas. I fly the ship.
My God.
I guess that means you fly the ship, not. Anyway, Strange New Worlds. When we get there, sir.
Yeah.
Why would Spock know who Culber is? There's a moment between Spock and Culber. I'm like, why would Spock know who Culber is? There's no reason for that interaction.
Yeah.
More emo. Did we need Burnham here? Because it looks like Arian took care of things herself. Like Burnham was too teary of a mess to push.
Well, no, it was Commander Nan who pushed the bed.
I was like, you a teary-eyed mess over there.
Side note. I loved Commander Nan. I love that she was, from Benzar.
Yep.
Like I love that they from TNG they had the whole thing. The actress was cool because I remember at the time when my Twitter was public, and when those shows were airing, and the actress was like so excited to be part of Star Trek. I'm like, oh my God, you were so cool that you were a Benzar, and she like took the time and like wrote me a reply. She's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." I'm like, like it's just sometimes social media can be good. That's what I'm saying.
There are moments where cool stuff like that has happened. I like how they open up with the next episode. You have like the tribute to Arium, the whole funeral, very evocative of the end of Wrath of Khan.
It would have been more earned if we knew more about her.
Yeah, a little bit more. And then also like you got Detmer giving a speech there about her augmentation and stuff, and I'm like, what exactly is your fucking augmentation? Like
you have a thing on your eye.
You got a thing there, and I see it, but it's never made clear about what you do.
And
it's just like
also Arium being like fully cyberly augmented, which feels a little bit more advanced than TOS. But then you remember that TOS had like full on like robot clones, so I didn't hate that as much, but. Yeah,
it's like, what is it? Like, who are, again, I don't know you.
Yeah.
Your name's Detmer, and you're over there on the left side of the bridge, right side of my screen.
Like you were on this Shenzhou, and then you got hurt, and then came back, and you were on Discovery, and yeah.
Saru singing there was a nice touch, though.
Yeah.
It just fit, very natural. Great use of there. Great gay scene in the engineering room. And what I mean is that conversation between Stamets, Culber, Giorgio,
yes,
that was. I had to wait to call, but it's just a great here we go, great use of hey, here are these people who play in a lot of different spaces, a lot of different backgrounds, and in this moment, here's how it playing out. Great, I liked it from everything. Hey, you know he's gay, don't you? Or I play with it. It was great.
But they even played with that a little bit in the end of season 1 when they went to Kronos. And Giorgio's like, hey, I'm having a 3-way, you and you're looking good, and let's go. I'm going to get some information and then kill you. Yeah. Like it's great.
Great way of the inclusion of it, the incorporation of it, but also not being something like, hey. See. No, it was just like
we had full ass several times.
Yeah.
Several times in Discovery. I forgot. I keep forgetting. It was just like, man, I forgot how just it was streaming, and they could go anywhere with it.
Again, great new way portrayal of Trek. That's fine if you're New universe, like, because push the boundaries. We're
But it's like I can't show my
risque,
kid this until he's 14, kind of a
True,
thing,
true,
you know?
true. Definitely some adult Trek. As we continue going on, not really a fan of disco era Klingon ships. Just
Still
not,
not.
still
We'll
not a
never
fan.
will be. Even though in
Um,
the second season they're like, look, it's the new D7. And it's like, guys, you already retconned something because you had D7s in the
yeah,
first season. It
yeah.
was the new D7, but now it's like a new D7 that
With
aligns
completely
with
different than
canon.
anything else. Not looking like anything else. Spock makes the line, I like something about he likes science. And I was like, I like science too, because you had like a Trek technobabble scene where they figured it out. They were talking it out.
Yeah.
And I think that worked great. And here's where I made the note. I hate the way her Spock relationship felt forced in season one, but the actual portrayal at this point in
Yes.
season two
The
and what they have
whole
built was just great.
the whole scene where she's trying to play chess with him to like reconnect and like actually talk about the issues and them like just yelling at
Oh,
each other and he's like, maybe I want to explore these emotions, and he just like slams the thing, and great.
at
And
two asterisks there. One, because then you get the flip of it a couple episodes later where he does it
yes,
for her after, she loses her mom to bring but there's a little disconnect there. But then two, fixed number however many. Oh, we want to play with an emotional Spock on our spinoff. Great reason for you have here a great dynamic of I'm half Vulcan, half human, but I also grew up and had this relationship with my full human sister, raised to be Vulcan. Interacting with her has now kind of, and I've been on this journey of figuring this out. Here is your
yes.
full license to explore emotional Spock and also some relationships if you wanted to, if it was a new universe.
I can kind of sideline a bit, but one of my favorites was in that episode with the Telosians
Yep.
and doing the memory of like basically Burnham telling young Spock off when she didn't
Oh,
want
that
to,
hurt moment,
the
yeah.
hurt moment, and the way that they shot that to like intersperse between the kid and adult versions of both of them, and then it's both adults acting it
Good
out.
stuff.
Great stuff. And you know why that's so great? It's because not the point I was trying to make. That was a different episode by Jonathan Frakes. Either way, Jonathan Frakes, I love when he directs episodes in these.
So then, did he also do the one? Because that brought up, I think it was early in season two, or maybe a couple episodes back, where Burnham and Tyler are talking. Because I forget what he's informing her about, and it does some great camera work because it's a holographic call. So it starts off you're in Burnham's quarters, and you see
Yes.
holographic Tyler, but then it shifts to we actually see Tyler in the Klingon hall talking to Burnham in her quarters. Then we actually literally get the split screen of Tyler there, her, and then after that, it literally goes back. We get just Burnham in the quarter,
Right.
Mike Tyler back in the Klingon hall. Then we actually get back to the holograms. Like it was beautiful scene in the transition of that moving communication. Great stuff.
I will say overall, Discovery has had some amazing directors
Yeah,
that have directed multiple episodes, and you
yeah,
can kind of tell their style, but then
yeah.
they'll do something new that really wows you. And yeah, so I've never had a problem with the direction of this show or the actual visual effects work, except
Facts,
for
facts.
except for the stupid TARDIS turbo lifts. I hate that. But but like the space scenes are gorgeous, the ship is gorgeous, like the beaming, I love the beaming effect.
Good stuff. Yep.
It's just it's all so clean. So yeah, like it's really good. Sorry, I was kind of
No, you
sidetracked.
good. Like I had to know here when Discovery is good, and this is
It's amazing.
Like Pike on Borath. When it's good, it's good.
Oh my
Like
god. And
it's
and
good.
then connecting with TNG with
Oh,
Boreth and like everything we knew about the Klingon monks, just so good. Time crystals I could do without that plot device, but it is
I mean,
what it
I
is.
get why it's the whole
Yeah,
thing is a bunch
yeah,
of different plot devices. So I think it's one of those things where what Star Trek does
But
best.
actually,
Sometimes it doesn't matter. It's just how you're playing with it.
but
And where it
actually,
fits in the
now that
story.
I think about it, Klingons messing with time travel was also introduced in Voyager Endgame, which would kind of the time crystals would make
It
sense.
ties in well across everything. And then while doing that, in what we do know, playing with the new, with kind of putting a
Yes.
bow on the Laurel and Tyler
Yeah.
with the whole sun thing and the girl, like, oh yeah, that
And
was
played
just,
played by the same actor, obviously, Kenneth Mitchell, who we
Yep.
lost. But he played Cole Shock, and then the son of Laurel. He played 3 different Klingons in Discovery. And, may he rest in peace, because he did a fantastic job differentiating.
Each character is different. And if I didn't know, it doesn't pop out at me like, oh,
Right.
same dude. It's not Kalar and Dr. Solar on TNG where it's like,
Right.
that's the same chick
Right.
playing dude. Well, no, they were each 3 very distinct and
Yeah.
awesome performances. Great. That was just like, this is just. I was like, this is just good. And again, taking the issues out, it's just some good Trek. Good.
Also, going back to the time thing, I loved the moment where, and it's a Tilly moment, where she's like, she calls it like something in the beginning, like a time vortex or something. And Pike's
cool.
like, it sounds cool when you put time in front of it. And Pike's like, yeah, I think so. And then later on, when it's like a time tsunami, and she's like, I don't like that one as much. And it was great Tilly moment.
Tilly moments that just were natural and fit in.
Yeah.
At this point, we're starting to wrap up. Like, it's episode 13, so we're getting to the end. It's been a great. One of the things I really enjoyed is, again, even knowing where the story is going, not quite remembering or even being like, what were the twists and turns? It's like, okay, seeing the build is like, okay, you're not revealing the hand. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And this finale for season 2, strong. We get some cool, not just good ship porn, but I would say cool new ship porn with the whole Disco doing the flip over the Enterprise, and then you get the the whole kind of like, I guess, ship to ship docking. That was a cool sequence.
That was incredible.
Beautiful. Just
man. Yeah, and while I didn't like the Enterprise on the first reveal because it was too much, like the end of this season really sold it for me. And obviously you can tell that they're using a redress of the Discovery Bridge, but they still added the TLS elements. And obviously that gets refined to closer to what we know in Strange New Worlds. But I appreciated what they did with the resources that they had.
It looked
like
good.
The simple redresses, yeah.
Bridge is sexy, too damn big, but she was sexy. The holographic comms issue is still just stupid, just
dumb,
stupid. Again, the Disco TOS uniforms, hideous. I liked how they treated Discovery kind of with respect as they were going to blow her up. Pike is like, attention. We again, because the ships are a character in Star Trek, and you get away with some of the series in this Renaissance, get away from that. And what I did appreciate more in season 2 than I think season 1, Discovery to an extent gets treated a little more like a character.
Yes.
That I think it's forgotten about a little bit in later seasons that we'll get to next month. But yeah, I kind of like that moment. Give her the respect as we send her off.
Exactly.
Glory as we try to blow her up. Great stuff there. It's moving fast. The short treks with the whole Queen. I forgot that those were a thing during season 1 and season 2.
Yes, and that was my problem with this, because it's like, if you didn't see the short trek, you don't know who the hell Poe is.
But I don't feel like it took away, because I actually made the note here. It's like, because I forgot about it completely. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about those things. But I was like, I like how it's kind of, if you know.
Sure.
And you're like, okay, there's depth here. But I think they did a good job of giving you enough in the show itself that if you didn't catch the short trek, It's not like why is this related? It's like the galaxy.
Sure.
You're young, you have this, whatever. Cool. It works. The short trek just adds some depth, but it really was like, well, I forgot those were a thing.
I do like how when you look back at the season and like at the towards the in the finale when Saru's sister comes to help with all the fighters with the bow. I just like how everything connected. Like the story, like in the beginning, you're like, what are these signals? I don't understand this. But they wrapped it all up in a bow. Like there was a reason that the sphere data came here. And there's like all these points where when you look back at it and when you rewatch it, you see how everything connects. And I thought that was a great way to tell a season arc, which they kind of forgot about in later seasons, which we'll get to in another episode. But I just want to say I really appreciated the overall arc of this season. I truly believe, I think this is the best season of Discovery for me.
Close. It's up there. I think it's fun. I mean, it turns out the whole season is a freaking paradox, and Star Trek loves paradox and time travel. Like, I think it's again, what these first two seasons do great is, hey, here's a story we want to tell,
and we have a beginning, middle,
and end, and it all, there's things that work great, there's things that don't work great, and it's Star Trek, taking all the issues out. It's some good sci-fi, some good Trek. You're presenting some new things, and it is very enjoyable. Unfortunately, it just becomes so clear that it's like we all knew what the issues were. That the only way to fix this show was to send it a freaking century into the future, 2 seasons in. So here we are, practically we're 29 episodes, practically 30 episodes, and we don't know what this damn thing is. But there was hope because we're like, hey, cool, you take it to the future, you get away from these issues, you could do anything you want.
And now it raises a whole bunch of other issues, which we'll get to.
We will get to there. But yeah, like I said, Star Trek loves a good paradox. Wasted character potential, because I think you have Stamets talking about he don't want to be there, he want to leave, and it's just like, what the hell? You keep adding to the problem with canon and how things work, like the whole we're gonna go to, and Spock like, yeah, I'm gonna go. We know you're not gonna go, Spock. This prime universe, you can't go. Like you're not going to go. Disco overload, just more stuff like that.
It's just tension that didn't need to exist.
Yeah.
And they're doing it because the characters don't know their futures, but we do, so it just seems a bit unnecessary.
It takes away that who knows what could happen, because I know what's going to happen because you told me where this takes place. And then we now officially get the captain drama. Because for whatever reason, because through these first 2 seasons, you've clearly indicated with Saru at the command and as first officer that this is Saru's crew. Like even the way he interplays with Pike, and Pike is like, it's your crew now, Saru. And Saru's like, yeah, we'll figure that out later. There's nothing to figure out.
You are the captain.
The show has told you that. But no, this is Star Trek Michael Burnham, so can't have the main character not be the captain.
Right.
We've done it for 2 seasons already, and we'll talk about what happens about in the next, and that mess later. But I was like, why did you put that in there? Other than it's Star Trek Michael Burnham. That's the only reason you did it. Because Saru was like, even as we open up the last episode, like the way with that hail coming in, and it's Leland hailing, and before answering the hail, Saru's like, hey, understand, you're gonna see a human on that screen there, but that ain't a human. That ain't Leland. Like literally, hey, this is about to go down. Make sure your mind is right. All right, now let's end. Like, I loved that. We've never seen that before. Loved it. The captain taking care of his crew. Good stuff right there. Good stuff. And then it's just a lot of act. See, that season 2 ends on a whirlwind. That whole like prepping for the battle, getting ready to solve the solution. Like I love how they build towards the solution. It's not oh, we got to figure it out and take, no, like literally, we get little pieces of the solution. Like, okay, we may need to go to the future. Or we may need to take Discovery to the future. How, I like how they build to it.
Or
And
Burnham might get stranded in the future.
Yeah, and it's a great way to get to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you feel about that battle between Control and Enterprise Discovery?
It was intense, and it's been a while since I've seen it because I haven't finished the season.
Hey, feel free. Hey, I get it.
But I remember it being really high intense ship drama and battle, and there were definitely overwhelming odds where you're like, how are they really going to survive this without more support from Starfleet? And I will say it was a great way to have the tension, but I think it ran on slightly too long because it gets to be too much of a CGI ship salad. And it's sometimes hard to tell like what's going on when you've got like the small Baul ships and then the Control ships, and obviously Enterprise and Discovery are highly recognizable, but it's just like a bunch of bees swarming around them, and it gets difficult sometimes.
There are some cool moments in it because I think which we can talk more on this in the next episode, but a little bit here is with the technology they're able to do more. We can see more. And they're able to produce a lot more, and so they make some. They do some cool new things here. Like you get the big ships, and then you get a bunch of small little fighters and stuff around them, which we had never really quite seen in this kind of scale and way before. And so I really liked how it was portrayed. Discovery and Enterprise, they weren't super mobile flying around. Oh, they're pretty stagnant, firing and acting as the big boss here, while the other little ships are going around. The biggest issue is just, as we'll talk more about with Picard, is Control ships are all the same. It's the same thing for section. Every ship is the same, which is a common in this Renaissance era, paste and repeat. But there's some cool shots, like the whole Burnham flying out of the Discovery Bay to go, like that's a cool sequence.
Oh yeah.
It's good ship porn. I enjoy it. It gets a little emo and drawn out as discussions between everybody here.
The whole thing with her in front of Spock's shuttle is just a little bit too drawn out.
Yeah, it's drawn out. I do notice here though, Discovery works when everybody has something to do at the same time.
Yes,
which is hard to pull off because in this case you got the Enterprise bridge action and the stuff with the torpedo and the Admiral going on over there. You got the Discovery action and crew, and then you got Burnham, which, as I mentioned earlier, it always works best when Burnham is separate from the crew, out on her own doing like with Spock, but it's too much. It's too much. It's a lot going on, and it's one of the things like they almost have too many characters for such a short span of story they're trying to tell, and you can't judge everyone well. Versus, the only real one I can compare it to is like a DS9, where DS9 is known. The cast is known for being a true collaborative cast. Yeah. But I think the beauty of it is you would see like everybody wasn't always in every episode, where I really feel like we more so notice
everyone in this episode.
Well, we notice when people aren't there. Like we make a big deal that Janet Reno is, in this, played by
Tig
Notaro playing Janet Reno, and then it's like we introduce her episode 2 or 3, and then she gone till like episode 8 or 9. It's like you notice when people aren't there because they kind of make it a point to where even if you ain't got nothing to do, you're here. You're getting paid. You're here,
and that's I know some of that just behind the scenes because I love Tig Notaro and I love the character of Jet Reno. She's fucking awesome. But here's the thing: I know that she had some scheduling things, so they can only fit her when they can fit her, and also she doesn't like acting on such a big scale of this. So I'm surprised that she's actually going to be such a big part of Starfleet Academy coming up. And I'm glad she's going to be in Starfleet Academy.
Is she going to be a big part? I'm expecting more. To be honest, I'm expecting more of the same. We'll just wait to see because You told me she was going to be a big part for this.
Sure.
But she wasn't. I mean, she is a big part, but it's not like everybody else wants. Hey, everybody has to be here for every episode.
But here's the thing. Because she is so good as an actor, as Jet Reno, and she's so sarcastic and memorable. So when she is in an episode, just her presence and her character being there actually elevates that episode because of her.
Oh, she gets more character development and forward momentum in short little spurts here or there than any other member on the bridge crew who is taking orders every week.
Yep.
Anywho,
that's for part 2.
How do you feel about the solution of kicking Discovery to that? Because, like I said, we all knew something had to change here.
We all knew, so my answer is like, it's the only thing they could do to try to keep everything in canon. Because it's the only logical choice, because they wrote themselves into a corner. Mm-hmm. So, of course, the obvious solution is to take them to a period 900 years in the future beyond Trek canon. And they even made a point to say that in the interviews. Hey, we're in the 31st century now. Now we're free to tell whatever stories. Well, if you didn't write yourself into a corner in season 1 and 2, you could have told your stories. It was just a bad premise to set Discovery as a prequel series. That's all there is to it.
In the Prime universe. Because I'll be honest, because again, how do we fix this? It's like, okay, cool. This is essentially if we're to this point, we're still maybe looking to fix it. To this point, essentially now you've done this strange New Worlds backdoor pilot, that this coda is that we're all clamoring for. I will say though, seeing that chunk taken out of this Enterprise saucer section, looking like Cookie Monster done attacked it. That was a sight with that big chunk gone out of the saucer section. But at this point, you could have. I had to fix. Was I talking? I lost my train of thought. I was talking to fix for Disco, maybe, right? Yes, you've set up a beautiful universe here. Like the work you've done with the Klingons, bringing the Klingon Empire together, this early Federation, you're established, but you're really getting out there now.
Yep.
In my head, I'm like, okay, cool. We're early. We want to get to Pike and Kirk in those days. Cool. What if we're telling a different story where Kirk's greatest enemies or Kirk's foils aren't the Klingon Empire? Maybe during this time period, we've done all this together. We have this relationship with L'Rell. Why aren't we friendly earlier?
Mm-hmm.
What's a different take about Kirk and the crew now operating and they're on this 5-year mission where the Klingons aren't necessarily the bad guys every other couple weeks because we're good?
Right.
Okay, sign me up. Like, you've set up an interesting universe here, and you literally was like, well, we can't go any further with that because we'll fuck up when we run into canon. So we got to jump.
So thankfully, all the fans like Pike, so now we can do a show and still play in our prequel universe and never mention Discovery again.
Right.
Because we literally, in the last scene of season 2, said, hey, you can't talk about this at all, and we'll erase all the records.
And Spock gave the reason. I'm kind of like, I don't buy it.
Because a rogue AI might happen again.
Yeah, or somebody might try to use time travel to affect things, which happens all the damn time in Star Trek.
Temporal Cold War,
right? Like it's it's just one of those. Again, you created a problem and you had to hand fist this as the solution, and it's just like it's just wasted potential. There were some good things there that I really would have enjoyed seeing them play with. But yeah, I just remember the hope. Like, yeah, Disco's going to get it right, and we just know they're in the future, and I think that's as good as a place to put it down for right now.
I think it is.
Okay, so final thoughts. The first 2 seasons of Star Trek Discovery, sir. Before we get to the fun ranking goodness.
Let's save the ranking.
Save the ranking.
Let's save the ranking for the end of Discovery.
Oh, so we can take it all in. Okay.
Yes, let's do that. Because I know this episode is long, and that's only for 2 seasons of the show. So just wait till Discovery Part 2.
Oh, we got the hard stuff out the way, because now the basis is there. We know how we feel about it. We can really just what are the issues? But thank you for joining us on this
Yeah, absolutely.
60,000 view of Star Trek Discovery, aka Star Trek The Michael Burnham Show, seasons 1 and 2. Like, share, subscribe. We appreciate any time you have spent with us. We'll be back with a treat for you as we close out Star Trek Discovery next month, checking out seasons 3, 4, and 5 as we fast forward to the future. And what does the future hold? More of the same. Anywho, we'll talk to you then. Be
We
safe.
will see you.
Stay safe and live long and prosper.
Peace and love.